Well. It is heating up for the Dallas Cowboys. It is put up. Excuse me. It is put up or shut up time for the Dallas Cowboys. It's put up, shut up time. The Cowboys have free agent contracts looming. March the 10th is looming. The next 3 weeks are going to tell us everything we absolutely need to know about the Dallas Cowboys. And if Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones are going to stick to what they said. Renan, what's going on? Yes, sir. Appreciate it. What's going on with you? Richard, what's going on? Yes, Dak owns filthy. It's time. Ty Church, what's going on? A lot of decisions for the Cowboys, y'all. A lot of decisions. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight, opening up the show, is we're going to talk about this issue with Osa Odighizuwa. The Cowboys have made a mistake with Osa Odighizuwa because what's being reported right now as it applies to Pro Football Focus is a travesty. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Micah Parsons. We're not going to dedicate a lot of time to it. We're going to talk about Cowboys free agency. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the draft, as in what's being reported of who could fall to the Dallas Cowboys. And I find this to be very interesting. Jared, what's going on? He said, I need to cook Shady McCoy. He said that Micah Parsons doesn't believe in Dak Prescott or the Cowboys because Dak Prescott is a choker. Now, I'll tell you this part, Jared. I don't believe the second part is true. I believe the first part may be true as it applies to Micah Parsons. I don't even know if it's about him not believing in Dak Prescott. I just think Micah Parsons wants to be the head of the team. That's the issue, I think. And if you listen to his interview, he clearly said that when people got hurt, it allowed the young guys to step up and be leaders. Micah Parsons, we're not going to spend a lot of time on him tonight, but he's very disingenuous. This man doesn't want to learn from no veteran leadership. He doesn't want to learn. He doesn't want to be in the system. He wants to do whatever he wants to do. And if the Cowboys are going to continue on this trajectory, it's going to continue to be a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem. And he's going to continue to be a locker room divider, whether they like it or not. He's out here right now advocating for Jerry Jones. And the fan base is angry with Jerry Jones. I bet you there's players, past players we know are angry with Jerry Jones. Players are probably angry with Jerry Jones. And here we go. And we got Micah Parsons out here advocating for Jerry. Something's not right about this. I'm sorry. If I was in that locker room, I'd feel very uncomfortable with Micah Parsons. Kevin, what's going on? Nisi, what's going on? Andrew Nichols Jr., what's going on? For sure, Andrew Nichols. He said, God got Dak. I'm with you on that. Alex, what's going on? Let's get into this. And as more people come in, we'll greet them. And whether it be 10 or 10,000, we're going to talk Cowboys. Let's talk facts. The Cowboys made a mistake with Osa Odighizuwa. Cowboys have made a mistake with Osa Odighizuwa. Ice Cold Cowboy, what's going on? We have made a mistake with Osa Odighizuwa. Y'all do realize that if we sign Osa Odighizuwa, I mean, this is no knock on Osa Odighizuwa. I think he's a good player. I would want Osa Odighizuwa to be on this team. But I'm just keeping it real on Osa Odighizuwa. Because of how the Joneses do stupid things, as in waiting to sign players, we're going to wind up paying Osa Odighizuwa, who is a good defensive tackle, like he's an elite defensive tackle. This is a mistake. It's a mistake. And I'm sorry. I just, Cowboy fans, y'all tell me what you think. We're in a predicament with Osa Odighizuwa. It is being projected that Osa Odighizuwa is going to be $21 million a year, $85 million deal. Mistake. And they're saying that his franchise tag number is $24 million. The Dallas Cowboys cannot do either one of those. They can't do either one of those. They can't. Aaron, what's going on? Aaron Wesley, you know what? I'm going to look at something. We get to Micah Parsons. We're going to look at what you said on the trade thing. Appreciate you, Ice Cold. Appreciate you. I'm telling us, we made a mistake on Osa Odighizuwa, and I'll be honest, I don't know how you fix it. I mean, you're literally going to have to just say, we're just going to eat. We're just going to bite the bullet and sign Osa Odighizuwa. I mean, that's the only thing we can say, oh, we're going to let him walk. The Cowboys have put themselves in a predicament with Osa Odighizuwa. And I'm just telling you about me. There's no way I'm paying Osa Odighizuwa elite pass rusher money. I'm not paying him elite defensive tackle money. And I'm telling you, the crazy thing is, he's probably going to get it. I hope and pray it's not here, but I think he's going to get it. I think there will be teams willing to pay Osa Odighizuwa $20+ million. Because if I'm the Cowboys, I would be already trying to work out a deal with Osa Odighizuwa. I would be trying to, if I was the Cowboys, I would be trying to get Osa Odighizuwa in the $15 million range. Now, I'm not telling Osa Odighizuwa to take $15 million because Osa Odighizuwa, for all he knows, this could be the last great contract he gets. And I'll be honest with you. If I'm Osa Odighizuwa, I'm about to get the most money that I can. I'm playing both sides of the fence. So let me play the Cowboys side. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to Osa Odighizuwa with some of my usual tactics. And then I'm going with some of my new, maybe some new things. My old tactics. Hey, man, this is the Dallas Cowboys, Osa. It's the greatest franchise in the world. You want to play here, Osa Odighizuwa? Hey, Osa Odighizuwa. Hey, $15 million. Because $20 million somewhere else with a state tax, it's like doing $15 million. So why don't you just be here? $15 million, no state tax. You do good on this contract, Osa, you get you another contract. I mean, I'm going to use my usual things. Then I'm going to come at him with the other things. Hey, man, we're doing things differently. We got Brian Schottenheimer. Look at the coaching staff. We really want to be aggressive in free agency. We really want to build a great defense. We got you. We're going to sign Micah. We're going to sign, we got Overshown. We're going to go in free agency. I mean, I would be just pouring it on thick to try to get Osa Odighizuwa $15 million. 20 and up is too much. I think 15 is pushing it. I really do. I think $15 million is pushing it. But I understand defensive tackle, man, it is hard to find in this league. I understand it's hard to find in this league. And because it's hard to find in this league, I might be willing to go $15 million a year on Osa Odighizuwa. That would be a $60 million deal. And maybe I go, $60 million deal, $40 million guaranteed. $40 million guaranteed with incentives. You get 10 sacks a season, we'll give you another $1 million. You get 12 sacks, we'll give you another $1.5 million. You get 15 sacks, we'll give you $2 million. I mean, I would get some really good incentives in there. But as far as, oh man, I'm telling you, Osa Odighizuwa, y'all tell me what you think. I know some people are not going to find that to be popular, but I just can't. I cannot fathom Osa Odighizuwa at $20 million. He's good, but he's not elite. That's elite money. I mean, let me show you something on Pro Football Focus, and I'm gonna do some more greetings. Let me show you something on Pro Football Focus that is insane when it comes to Osa Odighizuwa. And I don't even understand it. I don't understand this. Now, some of y'all are huge fans of pressure rate, and all this stuff. Man, I'm not a fan of this stuff. I'm from a different era. I don't get in all that stuff. It's not that I don't appreciate it. I'm not going to be fooled by quarterback pressure, because the thing that I'm trying to help people to understand when you talk about quarterback pressure, and I'm going to show you this for a reason, because when you talk about quarterback pressure, it's not just the pressure. What is the result of the pressure? What is the result of it? Because I'm telling you, the good, the great, the elite quarterbacks, man, quarterback pressure is nothing. If you got one guy pressuring you, big deal. You can get away from him. Maybe even two guys, you can get away from them. Now, when you got an elite defensive line like the Eagles and what they put on Patrick Mahomes, that was not quarterback pressure from one player, two player. That was quarterback pressure from four players. The Kansas City offensive line couldn't block anybody for the Eagles line. They couldn't block any of them. There was nowhere for Patrick Mahomes to run. We've seen Patrick Mahomes face quarterback pressure before. We've seen it. We've seen it with one. We've seen it with two. What we hadn't seen was 3 and 4. That's the part we hadn't seen. The part to where he can't run up the middle, flip it and run up the middle. The part to where he can't just roll around to the outside and get to it. There was nowhere to run for Patrick Mahomes. And the Los Angeles Rams, they're another one of these teams. An elite defensive line. I mean, they gave Jalen Hurts the business. They gave the Detroit Lions the business. When you got defensive lines like those, quarterback pressures mean a lot. But you think about us. People say stuff like, yeah, second half of the season, we led the league in quarterback pressures and we led the league in sacks or some crazy stat. Okay, so let's discuss that for a moment. Do we not realize? Let's think about this for a second. So you play 8 games. Let's say you play 8 games. And there's a player that gets 10 sacks in 8 games. And let's give him, let me see. Let's just make another number. 16 sacks, 8 games. Everyone goes phenomenal. Quarterback pressures. Let's say he has 70 quarterback pressures in 8 games. That's almost 9 pressures a game. That's an average of 2 sacks per game, right, y'all? Someone says, man, this guy is on it. He's the best in the league. But then we go back and start digging into the numbers. So he got 16 sacks. But what if he played a team? Let's say, what if he played just 3 teams? 3 teams. What if he played 3 teams that were 2 and 15? Maybe 3 and 14. What if he played 2 or 3 teams, they're 3 and 15? I mean, they're 3 and 14, they're 2 and 15. Their offensive lines are trash. He gets 4 sacks on one of them. He gets 3 sacks on another one. He gets 5 sacks on another one. And before you know it, if you really study the tape, well, 12 of the sacks came against 3 terrible teams. And then you got the 5, let's say 5 of the teams he played are good. And he only registers, out of the 5 good teams, he only registers 4 sacks. And what of the really good teams, let's say on the good teams, he only gets 2 sacks on one, 2 sacks on another one, or you can split it up in 1 or 3 or 1 and 1, whatever you want to do. But against the good teams, he only gets 4 sacks. Is he an elite pass rusher? Or is he a good pass rusher with elite stats because he played a sorry team? People don't understand. They're not looking at this. If I'm a scout, I'm thinking like a scout. If I'm thinking like someone who's looking to pay Osa Odighizuwa, I'm thinking like a scout. If I'm signing Micah Parsons, I'm thinking like a scout. I'm not going to let somebody tell me like the guy tried to tell Warren Sapp, hey, man, Micah Parsons averages 15 sacks a season. Hasn't averaged 15 sacks a season. I mean, he hasn't gotten 15 sacks as far as I can remember, not one time. Not in a season. But if I'm a football person and I'm looking to pay this man, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back game by game. And I want to see how many sacks did Micah Parsons get game by game. And who did he get those sacks against? I want to go pressure. I want to go game by game. Who did he get those quarterback pressures against? Same thing I would be doing with Osa Odighizuwa. Who did he get these things against? Because I'm telling y'all, there are games, and anybody who's ever played this game can tell you, there are just games to where you just play like a really bad team. And you just go out there and you clown because you're better than average. Man, they got a guy in front of you and he chop suey. You tearing him up. They put 2 guys in front of you. Chop suey. You still tearing them up. You're terrorizing. When you talk about paying guys elite money, I want to know what they're doing against the elite teams because that's where the rubber meets the road. The rubber does not meet the road against Carolina. I can't stand when we come out of a game against a team like Carolina. Man, we got 6 sacks today. Okay, I'm not knocking the 6 sacks. You can't choose who gets put in front of you. But put it in context. I don't want you getting 4 sacks against the Carolina Panthers, and then when we play the Green Bay Packers, you're nowhere to be found. When we play the San Francisco 49ers, you're nowhere to be found. We play the Los Angeles Rams. You're nowhere to be found. Minnesota, you're nowhere to be found. Detroit, you disappear. You're not even in the stadium. I don't want to hear about what you're doing against the below average teams. If I'm going to pay you elite money, well, I want to know what you're doing against the elite teams. Say what you want to say about Dak Prescott, but even against the elite teams, he's performing. The problem is against the elite teams, it takes teams a lot of times to beat them. But even when we're looking at the individual play, Dak has still performed against elite teams. We've seen it. So the problem becomes when you start looking at some of these players, you have to put everything I'm telling you into context because I want to show you something about Osa Odighizuwa that's mind-blowing. This thing about Osa Odighizuwa is insanity to me. Now, Osa Odighizuwa is a defensive tackle. Now, typically, when you're talking about a defensive tackle, well, you want him to be good against the run, don't you? I mean, that's what you have him for. You have him in the middle to stop the run. If we can get some quarterback pressures, if we can get some sacks from him, that's great. But I'm really not interested. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm telling you what I'm thinking. Those things to me are extra for a defensive tackle. What I want to know is he stopping the run? Because if anybody remembers 2023, if anybody remembers the beginning of 2024, well, one of the places we were hurting is stopping the run. So what I want to know is, can my defensive tackle stop that middle up? Can he take on, can he be so good that it requires 2 people to get him, to block him? Does it take 2 people to stop him in the run? Do they really have to plan and scheme for him in the run game? This is the stat that's insane to me when it comes to Osa Odighizuwa. I'm not knocking him. I mean, it is what it is. His run defense grade is 50.8. Okay, he's a defensive tackle. 50.8, and he's a defensive tackle. But the crazy thing is his pass rush grade is 78.5. So what this tells us is, on rundowns, Osa is average, middle of the pack. Depending, I guess, on who you're playing and the passing downs, he's 11th in the league. That's an insane stat. And when you look at his season stats, 33 solo tackles. That's 15th for defensive tackles. 7th in sacks. 5 in assists. Forced fumbles. One forced fumble. I mean, when you look at Osa Odighizuwa against the pass, I mean, his pass rush numbers are great, but his run numbers are mediocre. Solo tackles, he's 15th, 33. His assist, he's 110th. So I don't know. I think that may be telling us something about maybe the Cowboys' run stopping ability. Their guys don't obviously get involved as enough as they maybe should. But forced fumbles, he had 1. He's 12th in stops. He had 30. Sacks, of course, I mentioned he had 7. He was 12th. Hurries, 5th. 4th hits. 3rd in total pressures. He had 60. Some people love this number. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of this number because the problem is, and I'm going to show you what they said in his rank. Osa Odighizuwa is ranked number 30 at his pass rush grade, right? But I want you to look at the summary that Pro Football Focus says about him, and I think it speaks volumes. And then I'm going to go to some of your comments. It says Odighizuwa is another interior pass rusher with very strong underlying metrics. Watch this. That haven't quite translated to major sack production through nearly 4 years. It's not major sack production. This is why I keep telling folk who keep harping on quarterback pressure. Our quarterback pressure is not the same. One lineman getting pressure on you. I don't call that I don't call that the kind of quarterback pressure that translates into winning games, changing games. You know how I know? Because it's not translating for us. It's not translating for us. Even in the 12-win seasons, what did we have a problem with? Stopping the run. We had a problem with stopping the run. And then when you look at us against the good teams, where's the quarterback pressures? Where are the sacks? Where are the games? I mean, against the really good teams, where our defenses took over games, where Osa or Micah took over games. You can show me some of these. You can show me some of these mediocre games. But where are the big games? It's not translating. And they're saying the same thing. It's not translating. For as much as he gets quarterback pressures, where are all the sacks? So you got 60 quarterback pressures and you sacked the quarterback one time. I would love to know kind of what is that supposed to look like? I don't know about y'all. I'm just thinking logically. If I have 60 quarterback pressures and it's only translated into 7 sacks, what's the deal? I mean, am I missing the tackles? Am I getting outran? Somebody comment and tell me on this, because if you're getting 60 quarterback pressures, and this is exactly what they're talking about, they're only translating into 7 sacks. Something ain't mixing, something ain't jiving. And I know this is what they're talking about. And as much as they have him at number 30, it's telling us something. I guess it's hard to find interior defensive linemen. And because of that, the Cowboys, because they were not smart enough to sign Osa Odighizuwa last season. Why didn't they sign him last season? Why not sign him in 2023? Why? He would not be, no one would even be talking about $21 million a season last season. I'm not talking about 2024, I'm talking about 2023. Why not sign him then? So we've waited, and now we're going to have to pay, if we pay him, a good defensive tackle. Don't get me wrong. Let's not knock Osa. He is what he is. He's a good interior defensive lineman. But he's not elite. He is not an elite defensive tackle. I would consider an elite defensive tackle Chris Long. Now, y'all tell me what you think. I'm going to read some of your comments as y'all catch up. I would consider Chris Long to be an elite defensive tackle. But when I'm talking Osa Odighizuwa, I'm not thinking elite. I'm thinking good. And I'm not paying a good defensive tackle elite money. When I could just say, hold on a second. Why don't I just get me another good defensive tackle in free agency, and then let me focus on, can I get another good with the ceiling of elite in the draft? But I'm telling y'all this. If the Cowboys sign Osa Odighizuwa to a $21 million deal, get ready for more of the same. That's all I can tell us. Get ready for more of the same. If the Cowboys sign Osa Odighizuwa, get ready for more of the same. And I'm gonna tell you why that is in a moment. Ice Cold Cowboy, you predict the Patriots get him. You know what? I would rather the Patriots get him, because I definitely don't want Dan Quinn to get him. And then we'd have to face him twice a year. And then he'd be motivated by the fact we let him go. Ron said I would let him walk. I think they put themselves in a position where they have to let him walk. Chris, a.k.a. Big C, what's going on? He said, I'm not paying him or Parsons elite money because Parsons' numbers are the same every year, and they know how to beat Parsons. Just run at him. Woo! Man, you just spoke facts. I'm with you, man. That's hard. That's hard. Delta Roots, my man in the house, what's going on? Crush, what's going on? He says re-sign Osa. I'm with you on re-signing him. I'm not paying him elite. I'm not paying him Chris Long money. I'm not doing it. I mean, I've seen Chris Long. We hear Chris Long name in the big games. No, I know what Chris Long is. I'm paying Chris Long elite money. I can't pay Osa Odighizuwa. I can't pay him elite money. I can't. Ron said you have to start with O-line. Dak's window is closing. Yes, it's about to close. It is. Dustin Roberts, I'd rather have 3 or 4 veterans. I'm with you. That's where I am. Delta says, no, not $20 million. Then we got Parsons as well. There's the problem. I'm just telling us now. We're going to know everything we need to know in the next 3 weeks. Everything we need to know. If the Cowboys sign Osa Odighizuwa to a $20+ million deal, get ready. It's more the same. It is definitely going to be more the same. Oscar said he can sign Jonathan Allen for less. Delta said, I said it for years. We need to build a defensive line for sure. Angie, that Rebel Chicks, what's going on? Keith Beecham, what's up? He said, gee, it's too late to be talking about team-friendly deals with Osa. The NFL Players Association and his agent is not going to allow their free agents to wreck the market. Howie makes offers early. He does. There it is, Keith. The Cowboys should have offered him 2 years ago. They should have offered him in 2023. The same thing they should have did with Dak. The Cowboys should have offered Dak his deal in 2023. He would have took it. It was the perfect moment to give Dak Prescott a deal. It was the perfect moment to give CeeDee Lamb a deal. Both of them, 2023, 2024, give both of them a deal. If the Cowboys give Dak Prescott, Osa Odighizuwa, CeeDee Lamb a deal in 2023 when the Cowboys were having that sensational season, they get Dak Prescott $10 to $12 million cheaper. They get CeeDee Lamb $8 to $10 million cheaper, maybe even 12. Osa Odighizuwa, you don't even have to talk about $20 million with Osa Odighizuwa. You probably could have got Osa Odighizuwa for $10 million a year. Extended in 3 to 4 years, $10 million a year, $30 million guaranteed somewhere in there. Now we are truly behind the 8 ball. Yeah, Ron, they're going to have to make sure Dak is healthy this year. He says he's doing good, but we're going to see. Ice Cold said he thinks it's going to be in New England. We're going to see. Because it's going to have to be somewhere, because I can't, I hope the Cowboys don't do it here. Curtis Bryant, let's say you play 8 games and your quarterback goes 3-5. Is he an elite quarterback? Now, let me push back on you, Curtis Bryant. Yes. Yes. I'm going to answer your question with a resounding yes. Now, make sure when you ask me questions, make sure you want the facts, not what you want to hear. Yes, your quarterback can be 3-5 and you have an elite quarterback. Because I'll push back on you even harder, Curtis Brown, before I even give you the answer I'm about to give you. Did you check Troy Aikman's? Did you check Troy Aikman's record? I'm just wondering, did you check Troy Aikman's record his first year? Because I'm pretty sure that if you're saying that Dak Prescott, because this is where you're going, you're saying that if Dak Prescott cannot be elite with a 3-5 record, so you probably one of these people that call Troy Aikman elite. Which anybody who's ever known football would argue you to the death that Troy Aikman was not an elite quarterback. We throw that word around a little too much, but elite. Did you check Troy Aikman's record? Did you check his record the first few seasons? I just want to know if you checked it because I know if you checked it, then you wouldn't be saying stuff like you're saying. I'm just wondering, can you go 0-11 and be elite? I just want to throw this up at you before you say what you said. Then I'll listen. I'll watch you in the comments move the goalpost. Troy Aikman in his first season was 0-11. Can you be 0-11 and be elite? I'm just asking for a friend. Can you be 0-11? Can you be 0-11, family, and be elite? Because if you call Troy Aikman elite, then you're going to have to use the same standard. Can you be 7-8 and be elite? Can you be 7-5 and be elite? Can you, after your last Super Bowl, can you be 6-10, 7-4, 7-7, 4-7? Can you be elite? I'm asking for a friend. Got to be careful when we ask those kinds of questions. I'm going by Osa Odighizuwa on what we're actually seeing with Osa Odighizuwa. Pro Football Focus is telling us something weird. It's not translating. His quarterback pressures are not translating. So what's happening with these things? We got to stop making these very and one of our problems is we continue to blame the quarterback for everything in Dallas. But we got to stop making these frivolous arguments. It's the same question with Peyton Manning. So can Peyton Manning be 3-13 and be elite? Can he? Can he be 6-10 and be elite? Can he? I mean, I'm asking for a friend. It matters when you're talking about the quarterback. It matters about what you got around him. And with the quarterback, we can even see if he's good, even in losing efforts. Now, you got to realize something about linemen. Quarterback isn't a lineman. You know, we say, hey, man, Jalen Hurts beat Patrick Mahomes. No, he didn't. Last time I checked, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts were not on the field going against each other one-on-one. That's not what I'm seeing between those two. I'm watching them go against each other's defense. I'm watching them as the play caller devises plays to go against elite players to where he can play to his quarterback's strengths and then he can exploit the weaknesses of maybe even elite players. I mean, we're talking about a chess game when we're talking about playing quarterbacks. But when we're talking about in the trenches, and don't get me wrong, it's not like it doesn't matter who's to the left and the right of you. But what does show that if you're elite, you're going to beat one-on-ones. Man, you're going to beat two-on-ones. When you're in the trenches, we know when you're elite. You could even be on a 0-16 team. But if you're elite as a lineman, I promise you, we're going to know it. We're going to look at those 0-16 games and we're going to say, wow, this dude right here, I mean, they getting the brakes beat off of them. But look at this dude right here. They're double teaming him and he's still beating the double teams. He's still getting the pressures. And look at what they're translating into. They're translating into strip sack fumbles. They're translating into the quarterback throwing interceptions. They're translating into him. I mean, this team is garbage. This dude has 15 sacks. 15 sacks, 14 sacks. We're not saying, no, not against the bad teams. This dude is doing this against the elite. When you're playing in these one-on-one positions on the line, no, we know what you are. And Osa Odighizuwa is good. But Pro Football Focus is answering the question for us. They're saying it's not translating. What do you mean it's not translating? It's not yielding the results that you would think getting, for example, as I showed us, how do you have 60 quarterback pressures? You have 60 quarterback pressures, but it's not translating into a bunch of sacks. I don't know. I would love to do some more research into this to understand how does that translate? Because for me, that's why I'm not big on quarterback pressures. Okay, you got pressure on somebody. What's the result? And not only what's the result, who are the teams you're getting the pressure against? Who's in front of the person and they're still getting the pressure? I'm telling you, Osa Odighizuwa. And don't get me wrong, this isn't get rid of Osa Odighizuwa. No, I want Osa Odighizuwa. I want Osa Odighizuwa. Not for that price. Not for that price. He doesn't have the ball in his hand enough. He's not even taking the ball out of hands people enough. I can't do it. Matt D said, you're describing Michael Parsons. But I'm telling you, we really got to look at this stuff for what it is. Because I'm telling us, man, because once, y'all get ready. Once we sign Osa Odighizuwa, if we sign him to a 4-year, $22, $21, $20 million deal, we're stuck with Osa Odighizuwa for at least 3. Unless we just want to eat a 3rd year. We're stuck with Osa Odighizuwa. We're stuck with him. Micah Parsons, I hope so many people, I hope they're right. Because once we sign Micah Parsons on that dotted line, we're stuck with him. All the stuff we're complaining about now, we're stuck with him. There is no escape hatch unless you're going to just eat all of his money. There's no escape hatch. D Block 88 in the crib. What's going on? Brandy in the crib. What's going on? Sean M. Good to see y'all. I'm just telling us. We're stuck. We're stuck once we sign him. We're stuck. And so the Cowboys better really, really think this through. They better really think this through. Appreciate y'all, ball. He said, bro, he said, first time seeing your channel, you cooking. I'm just trying to tell us some facts, man. I'm telling you, oddball, the moment we sign Osa on that dotted line, and I'm telling y'all something that we're seeing, and this might not happen to everyone, but let me tell y'all something. We typically see something before these players get these humongous deals, and we have not seen this from Micah Parsons, and I'm being 100% honest. And if we're being honest, you'll know exactly what I'm telling you. We haven't seen it from Osa Odighizuwa, and we haven't seen it from Micah Parsons. Do you know what typically happens when we get a player on these contract deals? I mean, on these they come into a contract year. Has anybody ever noticed what we normally see? We normally see a ridiculous season. Most of these guys who get these deals, I mean, they come off a phenomenal season to where we know, it's a contract year. How many guys have we seen in a contract year? They play off the charts. Micah Parsons hasn't given us the off the charts season that says sign him or else. He hasn't given that to us. Micah Parsons has been what he's been for 4 seasons. He's been averaging around 12 to 13 sacks. And if you go and look at those 12 to 13 sacks, I'm not knocking Micah Parsons. I like him. I love to keep him. But if you go and look at those sacks every single season, show me the teams that those sacks are against, and your whole mind will be blown. Micah Parsons has been given the title elite when he's not elite. He's great, but he's not elite. Elite is when you play in the system, you understand the system, and you dominate in the system. You watch tape, you watch film, you look at plays, you read plays, you're anticipatory. You know where everybody needs to be on the field. You're a general on the field when you're elite. Talk to me about the Reggie Whites. Stop talking about Micah Parsons in the same conversation with Reggie White. Reggie White was a genius on the field. Lawrence Taylor was a genius on the field. These guys can talk to you about football on levels that people do not understand. The story about Lawrence Taylor, to me, I still don't understand it. They said this man would come into the film room and go to sleep. They would wake this man up, and then they would start asking him about the plays. He knew where everybody was supposed to be on every single play. He could read the offenses on the film. He could tell you everything that was going on. He said the only thing he couldn't tell them is where he was going to be. Man, I thought that was so powerful. He said, I didn't know where I was going to be. Because now I'm going to read the play. I'm going to read everything that's going on. I know where everyone's supposed to be. Now I get to read, and then I react. You know what he was saying? Because wherever the ball is, that's where I'm going to be. So until I know, I don't know where I'm going to be. So I'm not going to tell you that, but all the other technical stuff, Lawrence Taylor could spit it out like nobody's business. Because when you're like that, you're elite. We have not seen the season. Watch this. We saw it out of Dak Prescott. Yeah, we saw it out of Dak Prescott. 2023. And in actuality, I've already shown this. I will not go back and do it again. Go back and look at 2021. 2021 looked just like 2023. We've seen it. We've seen elite Dak Prescott in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen it. We've seen Dak Prescott dragging an entire team, covering up deficiencies. We don't give Dak Prescott credit for this, but we've seen it. The problem is Dak Prescott does so much that then when we come to the elite teams that we actually need the whole team to step up, they don't step up. A lot of folk don't understand what it requires to beat an elite team. Let me let you in on a few secrets. Some people say, well, when we played the San Francisco 49ers, they held them to 19 points. That ain't good enough. Yeah, you might not realize it, but that's not good enough. It's not good enough to hold an elite team to 19 points because an elite team might be able to hold you to 12 points. It's not good enough. When you have elite defenders on your team, you know what they need you to do to really beat the elite teams? Turn them over. It's not good enough to hold them to it's not good enough to hold them to 19 points. I need you to turn them over. I need you to turn them over early, and I need you to turn them over often. I need you to turn them over about 3 times in this game, because if you can turn over this elite team 3 times in this game, we're winning it. Because you got to build in, because we might turn it over too, because they're also an elite team. We know what they are. They're an elite team too. So if they're an elite team and we're calling ourselves an elite team, then the way we're going to have to get the advantage, somebody got to turn somebody over. Did anybody notice what Philly was doing in these games? It's amazing what they did to the Washington Commanders, isn't it? In the NFC Championship game. You know what they did to the Washington Commanders? They turned them over. And when you turn them over, you beat teams. Anybody notice what they did to the Kansas City Chiefs? They turned them over. When you turn them over, you beat elite teams. See, we don't understand something. See, we've had good teams with elite quarterback play. But then the problem is elite quarterback play on good to a mediocre team don't add up when you play an elite team. It don't add up. It don't work. You get an elite quarterback on a good team. The problem is the elite team is going to wreak havoc in his life. Because they're going to put up some points on the board. They may get ahead in the game. And you better believe they're getting after him. They're putting him on the ground. They're getting after him. And they're going to probably turn him over. They're going to turn him over too. That's what elite teams do. Kansas City, what did they do? They got an interception on Jalen Hurts. Go back and look at when you see elite teams play. A lot of times the difference are the turnovers. Because somebody's defense says, we're winning this game. Don't worry about it. We got it. We're going to turn him over. See, we don't realize something. We keep saying we were good enough to beat San Francisco. Obviously, we weren't. We were not. You know how I know? We didn't win. Well, Dak threw interceptions. So tell me how many we got. So if they can turn us over, so you're telling me we can't turn them over. See, you got to turn people over, especially when you got an elite defense. You got to turn people over. And where the Cowboys have got to get back to doing is it is important that they build a defense. Because the one thing you don't want to do is get into the outscoring game, because there's going to come a time. I don't care how good you can score. We saw it in 2023. We saw the Cowboys putting up 40. We saw the Cowboys putting up 50. We saw them putting up 30. The problem is there's about 3 times that season you're going to play a team you're not putting up 30 on, because they're not putting up with it. And especially the deeper you get into a season, the more film you get on a team. And then the team falls into their tendencies around mid to late in the season. And now we're saying, hey, all we're doing is tweaking what we do. But you know exactly what we do. We just line up and do it to you, and you either stop us or you don't. Everybody doesn't have the personnel to stop those elite teams from doing the same thing week in and week out. But then when they come to another elite team says, we know what you do. We're going to stop you. We're going to take away what you do well. You're going to have to figure out a new way to beat us. I never understood in 2023 why the Dallas Cowboys were beating teams with one wide receiver. I never understood it. I understood it because I watched some of the stuff that Dak Prescott was doing for 2023, and it was phenomenal stuff. And I'm like, okay, I know how he's doing it. But I don't understand why a team hasn't said, take away CeeDee Lamb, they're trash after that. Was it true or is it fact or fiction? You can give me an elite quarterback all day long for folk who keep making this elite quarterback argument. I would rather be a good quarterback on an elite team than an elite quarterback on a good team. And you know how I know this? Go look at Jalen Hurts. Go look at Jalen Hurts' stats. Now, don't get me wrong, boy. Jalen Hurts did them boys in. But go look at his stats. He had 181 yards passing. I mean, it's not necessarily world-beating numbers. It's not like he ran for 150 yards. I mean, but when your defense can do what his defense did, you're dominating teams. You're dominating teams. And when you can run the ball, you can control both lines of scrimmage, you're dominating teams. See, we keep every time we got a problem, we just go back to Dak Prescott. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm telling us now, if we sign Osa Odighizuwa, get ready. It's going to be more of the same. It's going to be more of the same. Because, watch this, if you sign Osa Odighizuwa, you have to sign Micah Parsons. You have to. You can sign Micah without signing Osa. But you can't sign Osa without signing Micah. Unless you plan on trading Micah and getting somebody like Myles Garrett. And now I'm hearing the guy from Cincinnati. I've heard some people even throwing that stuff out. And Jay Recruiter, you're going exactly where I was going. Ask Joe Burrow, can you go 3-5 and be elite? Because I'm telling you, nobody wanted any part of Joe Shiesty in the playoffs. That man was wheeling and dealing. Wound up 9-8. I think it was 9-8. Didn't even make the playoffs. You better believe you can be elite and be on a 9-8 team, go 3-5. You can be elite and be on a 1-15 team. See, people don't understand something about the quarterback. The quarterback is a lot dependent upon people around him. He's a lot dependent on the people around him. And this is why when Troy Aikman started getting players around him, Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys started to win. But the reason why they started to win is they put a line in front of him and they put a defensive line opposite of him. And they were controlling both sides of the trenches. And when you can do that, you beat a whole lot of teams. You do. Sean M., he said, saw our defense was elite under Quinn. It's been a long time since our defense was considered elite. Exactly. Dan Quinn's defenses were, they're kind of like, Dan Quinn's defenses are very opportunistic, high risk, high reward. And they're also built to play with a lead. If Dan Quinn's defenses get a lead on you and he's got some of the players he needs, you can get it. You can go ahead and go in the locker room. Because Dan Quinn's going to blitz you every which way but loose. He'll be coming for your quarterback. Once he puts you in passing downs or you got to totally pass the ball, Dan Quinn's going to send out the cavalry on you. It's over. Nisi, I want Dak to have the experience of a doomsday defense. Oh, man, yes. Let me tell y'all something. There is no greater feeling for a quarterback to play on a team where he knows there's nothing the other team can do with the defense. Jalen Hurts was on the sideline in the fourth quarter, not because he dominated the game, but because his defense was so dominant. Man, it was nothing Kansas City could do. That defensive line was insanity. There was nothing. I bet you Patrick Mahomes right now is in counseling. Patrick Mahomes in counseling right now. That man needs therapy. I'm telling you, that defensive line was a nightmare. That's what you need to beat elite teams, to beat elite quarterbacks. That's exactly what you need. Cowboys got themselves in a situation because Osa Odighizuwa, and maybe this is answering the question. Maybe this is why they haven't signed these players yet. I don't know. Maybe this is why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing as far as signing these guys. They are in a conundrum, and I wonder. Let's transition. Let's transition because I'm gonna keep this in the same conversation. Let me read a few comments and I'm going to go to the transition. Stephen White, tell Osa to buy a new house, 6-year deal. Delta Roots, Quinn used safety as a middle linebacker. Shameful. I know it, man. Shameful. Nah, I'm good on Quinn. Same guy who gave up 21 points to New England versus Atlanta. Yeah. And you know what? It's so crazy. I'm seeing on the wire that they gave up 3 draft picks. I think they gave up a 3-5-7 for. I'll never understand giving up a 3-5-7 for Marshawn Lattimore. Whoever made that deal, you don't get to pick personnel no more. And if Dan Quinn pushed the Washington Commanders to make that deal, or somebody in front office, they need to be fired. That deal is insane to me. And now they're talking about cutting Marshawn Lattimore this season. That's insane to me. Richard Owens, he said, how can you win with teammates that don't believe in nothing that you are doing? And you know a big part of this is, what does Micah Parsons believe in? What does he believe in? Brian Schottenheimer, if he's truly going to fix or help fix this team, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, I'm going to the Joneses. And I'm telling them, we got to do something about Micah Parsons. We have to do something. The things that he keeps saying out in the media, we have to stop. This man is actually talking to people and saying he's demanding the Cowboys be aggressive in free agency, as if he's got that much pull in this organization. And if he can even fool people into thinking he has that much pull, then why would the players look to Brian Schottenheimer? Why would they look to the coaches when all they're going to do is look to Micah Parsons? Do we not realize how crazy this is? The Joneses had already said they were going to do some things in free agency. I was saying this long before anybody else was even saying it. I just didn't know what was going to make them do it. But one of the things I was hoping is that the Eagles would get far enough that would make them go, we got to wake up. And I think that that combination of the Eagles, the Commanders, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, the fan base pushing back, I don't think it has anything to do with Micah Parsons. It's not like they asked Micah Parsons, who should they hire as a defense coordinator? I bet he's salty about that. They didn't ask him anything about, hey, Micah, who would you want on defense? Didn't ask him a word. And they shouldn't have. Because Micah talks like a fan. Micah doesn't talk like a person who watches film. Like a person who scouts, like what scouts actually do. People who evaluate talent actually do. He's a prisoner of the moment a lot of times. And he's speaking like a fan rather than somebody who really understands like players and things of that nature. And so, but the things that they're doing, what Micah Parsons is doing, somebody's got to get a hold of him. Because if not, we're going to see the same thing over and over again. And so, the Cowboys, I want us to think about this, and I'm going to roll back to Osa Odighizuwa in a minute. But I want y'all to think about this. What's still not computing with me? Why haven't they signed Micah Parsons? Now, some people say that they're going to draw this out for attention. And I've already seen where some people are making excuses about, well, if the Joneses are not going to be aggressive in free agency, then Micah Parsons isn't going to want to give them a discount. Let me show you something that I think is strange. And I could be totally off on this. I speak facts, but some stuff, it is speculation because we just don't know. But what we're doing is we're reading the tea leaves to kind of see, maybe we can get a clue of what's going on. And there's a strange story. Let me see if I can find it here. There's a strange story out here. And this story, the reason why I call it strange is I don't think this stuff gets out there unless somebody is saying for this stuff to be out there. Let me see here. And if I can't find it, I'll just give you the story in summation. But there's a strange story as it applies to Micah Parsons. One of these beat writers wrote that if anybody is interested in trading for Micah Parsons, he said, reach out to the Dallas Cowboys. Let it be known. Why? Why is this stuff? I mean, maybe this is just, maybe they're just coming out of the blue. I mean, maybe they are coming out of clear blue sky with this stuff. But why? Why are they doing this? I don't care what anyone says about the trade part about Micah Parsons. That came straight from Stephen Jones' mouth, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows. This is it right here. I want you to look at this and tell me what you think. This is insane to me. It says, Cowboys, and this has been reported by Mike Fisher, Cowboys Micah Parsons trade bidders should give Dallas a call, reports Insider. Micah Parsons has made it very clear that he wishes to be a Cowboy for life, and Jerry and Stephen Jones have suggested the same. So how can Dallas make the gossip go away? Now, let me tell y'all something about this statement about a Cowboy for life. This is one of the fakest statements I've ever heard. It's fake. It's one of the most fakest. It's a publicity comment. The only player that can typically be a quote unquote, you fill in the blank, can be a player on a team for life is the quarterback. He's the only player. He's the only player that can make such a claim. Because if you're a skill position, running back, once your yards decrease, you're out of here. Wide receiver, once your yards decrease, you slow down, you can't catch, you're out of here. You cross over the threshold of 31 years old, unless you're the elite of the elite, you're out of here. Lineman, unless you're the elite of the elite, you're out of here. Defense, you rarely see a defensive player in the last, 15 to 20 years to be on a team for life? Especially in the last 15. I mean, you got to be the elite of the elite. You have to be the Ray Lewises of the world, because there are very few that are going to be on a team for life, because even that player gets tired of being on that team if they're not winning. If they're not winning Super Bowls. This is one of the fakest, most disingenuous statements I keep hearing from Micah Parsons. That's a quarterback statement, and not even Dak was making that statement. When it was contract time, Dak was saying, I got to prepare myself to play somewhere else. If we don't get this deal done, I have to, and he said it, I'm not going to fault the Joneses if they don't pay me. If they don't pay me, I got to wrap my mind around going somewhere else, just like Peyton Manning did. You rarely see players, especially defensive ends, being on a team for life. And I think it's so disingenuous when Micah makes that, because I don't think Micah is really willing to do what it would require to be a Cowboy for life, because it would literally require you to not be low. It wouldn't require you to be the third best paid player. No, you got to go below market value. And even then, I bet you if you went below market value, man, if you're a scrub, they still throwing you out. They're still throwing you out. It's the game. It's the business. So Fisher is saying sign Micah Parsons. Now, owner Jerry Jones, Cowboys entertained a great deal of drama regarding their last two contract extensions a year ago, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. And there's plenty of reason for Cowboys Nation to suspect that in addition to the players wishing to wait for more, and in addition to Jones, deadlines make deals, mantra playing role, blah, blah, blah. And so, again, the distraction for the players, whatever the case may be, it says, Parsons has made it very clear he wishes to be a Cowboy for life, and Jerry and Stephen Jones have suggested the same. But as we write this, we know that there has been no true negotiations from the parties toward might be a deal that gives Mike a $40 million per year, the biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. We also know that Michael had suggested that he might make less and get no movement, just gossip. The latest junk comes from Sports Illustrated Albert Breer, who in this Monday Morning Quarterback column insists that there's been enough noise inside the Cowboys building to justify bidding teams from investigating on Parsons' availability in a trade. I know exactly what he's saying. The noise in the building. The noise in the building. So that tells us something. This isn't coming from the outside. Somebody inside is leaking things about the Cowboys as it pertains to Micah Parsons. So why would they be doing that? Why would they be doing that? And if Jerry Jones wants to stop this talking, he can sign Micah Parsons tonight. I mean, we may very well wake up tomorrow and he signs Micah Parsons. But the only way to stop this talking is sign Micah Parsons. And I'm telling you, Breer says there's been enough noise on Micah Parsons' relationships inside the Cowboys building over the last year to put anyone's radar up for trade. Let me highlight this. What does this mean? What does this part mean? Relationships. I haven't heard many people outside of myself talking about Micah Parsons' issue with Dak Prescott. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that the way I've talked about it. So now he's saying relationships. What does he mean? Well, I can read between the lines. He said, put anyone's radar up for a trade. Are you saying that Micah Parsons is probably rubbing some people inside the building the wrong way? You better believe he is. And the problem I have with Micah Parsons, I think he knows that he is. But he comes off like the teacher's pet. He comes off like, don't mess with me. Me and the owner got a great relationship. I don't think Micah understands what, I can't even say I don't think he understands what he's doing. I think he may very well know what he's doing. Because this seems to be very calculated. And I understand what they're saying. The relationships inside the building, with Parsons potentially commanding $40 million per year on a second contract. If you're willing to pay that plus high-end picks for a uniquely talented defensive player, I'd give Dallas a call. I said this before I even read this article. I said this last week. For that information to leak out about the Cowboys have talked about trading Micah Parsons is telling me that I think they want people. I think they want people to say what they would give for Micah Parsons. I mean, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you really want to know? Let's just say, I mean, you're getting ready to sign Micah Parsons. I mean, wouldn't you really want to know? Just in case you don't want to? I would. I told y'all, some people don't understand. I was telling them this in the beginning of the season as it pertained to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, Todd France did not get Dak Prescott that deal without walking into that office, throwing a piece of paper on the desk and saying, if you won't sign Dak Prescott, this is who will. Yeah, that information is good in a negotiation. It is. It's good to know. It's good to know. You want to let a team know. You let me go, we got options. You want to know this stuff. But also, if I want to let a player walk, but unlike Dak Prescott with a no trade clause, I control the destiny of this player. And I'm thinking about not signing him. I want to know. Is there someone who would want to give up 3 first-round draft picks? Because I'm telling you, I know people, oh, don't trade Micah Parsons. If a team came to me for Micah Parsons with 3 first-round draft picks, especially if we're talking about one of these below-average teams that want to improve their team. I'm not talking to a team like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, what good does it do me to get a number 30, a 30-round draft pick in the first, second, and the third? I mean, a 30-round draft pick in 3 drafts or be number 32 in 2 of the 3. No, I don't need that player. But if one of these teams came to me and they're going to give me 3 first-round draft picks, they're the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're the New England Patriots, who I know, the Las Vegas Raiders, there's no way they'll be good this year, mediocre the next year, and maybe good the third. So then I can get 2 high first-round draft picks from them in the first 2 seasons. I would want to know who would be willing to give a king's ransom for Micah Parsons. And the reason why I'm saying this, no one would have ever believed the Cowboys would have traded Herschel Walker. Now, any of us who were old enough or young enough to been around when Herschel Walker was playing football, I'm telling you, y'all do not understand what you were missing. I think if Herschel Walker, guys like Jim Kelly and those guys should have never went to the USFL. Man, I think if they would have came to the pros from the beginning, historical. Herschel Walker was a monster. Herschel Walker was a monster. No one would have ever said trade Herschel Walker. But they found out. There were some teams that wanted Herschel Walker bad. Well, when you get that information, what do you do with it? You can decide to be prideful and say nobody trades a Herschel Walker. You can be prideful and say nobody trades a Micah Parsons. Or you can say this is about building a team and winning a Super Bowl. And if there's a doggone team that's going to give us 3 first-round draft picks, I'm taking them. I'm galvanizing my locker room. I'm sending a message to everybody there. No one's safe except my quarterback. And even he's not safe after 3 years. The Cowboys have a decision to make. And I really think what they're doing through the word, reconnaissance? I think the Cowboys are trying to weigh out all their options. You don't drop out there, there's been talking inside the building about trading Micah Parsons unless you want that out there. You have to want that out there. I mean, in my estimation, you have to want that out there. Because if you don't want that out there, it's not out there. Let me read the super chat. Appreciate your Trend 76. Trend 76 says, I think your theory is off. The Joneses need a top-tier star a top-tier star pushing back on them. They've shown not to do deals on time. Money rules and they're greedy. Appreciate the super chat. Trend 76, follow what I'm saying. I agree, but I disagree. I agree that if Dak Prescott is going behind closed doors and talking to the Joneses, it speaks volumes. I know y'all might not want to accept this. Micah Parsons talking to the Joneses don't mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They don't care what Micah Parsons is talking about. We need to stop fooling ourselves and thinking that Micah Parsons is making the Cowboys do something. He's not. Let me give you the evidence so we can understand that it's not theory. Let me give you the evidence. Micah Parsons has been begging the Cowboys to sign him since what? Week 9 of the 2024 season? He's literally been begging them. He's done everything but get on his knees on camera and cry and say the Cowboys won't sign me. Because by all intents and purposes, if you look back to all of the film clips, this man has been begging the Cowboys to sign him. I don't have to be the highest paid. I'll take less money. I want to get my deal done now because I want to be in training camp. I want to be a Cowboy for life. He's begging. Oh, my agent may get mad. Oh, I've been blessed enough. Oh, I can't complain. I want to be a Cowboy for life. Means nothing. Because they haven't signed him. They haven't signed him. Let me give you another breadcrumb to help you understand that I know we're being fooled by Micah Parsons' antics. But what Micah Parsons says to the Dallas Cowboys carries no weight. They didn't ask Micah Parsons about one coach. Ask Micah Parsons the coach they asked him about. So if they don't care about Micah Parsons' opinion when it comes to the coaches, do you really think they want to take Micah Parsons' opinion as it applies to players? This dude don't know nothing about players. Micah Parsons knows a little bit more than the average fan. He's stating some obvious things. But when I listen to Micah Parsons talk, I know that he's not a person who really gets down and dirty into thinking before he talks and digging into the logistics of things, because if he was, he wouldn't be saying half the stuff that he says. Making disparaging comments towards his quarterback, disparaging things against his teammates, disparaging things, and then always putting himself on a pedestal. Who does that? I'm telling y'all, stop letting Micah fool y'all. What this man says means nothing to the Joneses. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Him telling the Cowboys to be aggressive. Let us not be prisoners of the moment. At the Brian Schottenheimer press conference, Stephen Jones already vowed, our goal is to build the best roster in football. We're going to examine what we've done in free agency, and we're going to do those things different. Jerry Jones said, we've done a good job of managing the salary cap, but can we manage it better? Yes, we can. That's before Micah Parsons started doing all this dumb, stupid talk. It's not Micah Parsons that made them decide that. It was the fact that we're making Brian Schottenheimer the coach. And we want to be successful with Brian Schottenheimer. We want to be right on this. We're watching the Philadelphia Eagles. We're watching the Washington Commanders. We're watching how other teams are doing it. And it wasn't enough they saw other teams do it in the conference to watch teams do it in the division. That did it to them. Not only for the teams to do it in the division, not only that, trend, let's follow this. The Eagles did it with Kellen Moore, who you let Mike McCarthy run out the building. Let it sink in. And not only did you let Mike McCarthy run Kellen Moore out the building after winning a playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after losing the game to the San Francisco 49ers, only after the star running back breaks his leg and changed the whole game. When you brought him in for the interview, do not let people fool you. Kellen Moore came in that thing, and Kellen Moore knew his stock was high. He knew the Saints were high on him, and he came up in that thing, and I promise you, Kellen Moore acted like he wasn't even interested. Kellen Moore was still ticked off at the Cowboys for allowing Mike McCarthy to do some of the things he did. He ran out of Amari Cooper. He ran out Kellen Moore. I'm telling us, we got to stop being fooled by the Micah Parsons stuff. Cowboys don't care nothing about nothing that Micah Parsons has to say at all. You know how I know? Because I don't remember them in any of the press conferences that they've had about the coaches talking about. And when you start looking at a coach, you have to consider your star defensive end and what he's running his mouth about, Micah Parsons. Anybody remember that conversation? Because I can clearly remember that Dak Prescott names continue. Dak Prescott name continues to come up. Dak Prescott got the $231 million deal. $231 million guaranteed. Dak Prescott got that deal. They asked Dak Prescott, as Steven said, Dak didn't make the decision. No, he didn't make it. That's why you talked to him about it. Yeah, we got you. But he had a lot to do with us hiring Shotty. You think? They don't care nothing. And I'm telling y'all, stop buying into the Kool-Aid. Micah Parsons is merely a walking headline. He's a walking headline for these people in the media. And they love to feed off of the stuff that he says. They love to feed off of it. But at the end of the day, they don't care nothing about what Micah Parsons is talking about. He's just a part of the entertainment. I keep laughing at Micah Parsons. Bro, you keep talking about this and that and this and that. You don't even have your own deal. How about you secure your own deal? And I question this part. Yes, sir, I'm with you, Tyrell. Ray Lewis was cut different. He's an elite player. What's going on, Freddie from El Paso? What's up, my man? Troy Dudley, what's going on? Again, I'm telling us. Stop letting Micah Parsons fool you. The Cowboys don't care nothing about what Micah Parsons is saying. I promise you. They don't care what he's saying. He's a part of the entertainment. Because if they really cared about what Micah Parsons was saying, Micah Parsons would have had a deal yesterday. Micah Parsons would have been had a deal. Sean M. DeMarcus Ware, tell me what you want to. They keep comparing Micah Parsons to people like Reggie White, comparing him to Lawrence Taylor. He don't even compare to DeMarcus Ware to me. And that's not knocking Micah Parsons. He does not compare to DeMarcus Ware. He just doesn't. He does not compare to DeMarcus Ware. And I'm telling us, this stuff that Micah Parsons is doing, the Joneses love it. It's all a part of the dog and pony show. It's just a part of the dog and pony show. Micah has a lot of growing, man, for real. Mentally and physically, yes. He has a lot of growing to do. And a lot of the fans are being fooled by Micah Parsons. I'm not. I've been around too long. If Troy Aikman, if Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, if those guys didn't have any influence on Jerry Jones, I'm not buying. I'm not buying that Micah Parsons is putting a fire up under the Joneses, please. The Joneses were already saying this stuff. Michael will resign with the boys, but after this second deal, he's gone. I believe it too. I don't think he lasts more than one deal. I don't think he lasts more than one deal. I don't. Jameson Taylor, appreciate you. It's good to see you in here. Hope everything is well with you. Troy Dudley said, I would be more than willing to sign Micah as the highest paid linebacker. Ooh, now see, Troy, now you're saying something. I'm with you. More than willing to sign him as the highest paid linebacker. I sign him right now. But as the highest paid edge rusher, Troy, that's why I start the struggle. Yep, they already exercised his fifth-year option. Question is, Robert M., does he play on it? Does he play on it? I think it's a $24 million deal somewhere in there. Ron, a cancer in the locker room must be removed. Now, let me go back. I still got it up on the screen. Let me put it back on the screen. Now, let me put this up here, Ron. You said cancer in the locker room. There's been enough noise on Micah Parsons' relationships inside the Cowboys building. Where are they getting this from? Where are they getting this from? Inside the building. That's where they're getting it from. Inside the building. And I'm telling y'all, I'm just being honest with you. If I'm Brian Schottenheimer, this is one of my first major moves. This is one of my first major moves. Micah Parsons. Now, Brian, he probably can't do it. But I'm built different. Some of y'all built different. This would be my first major move. Jay Recruiter talked about it. Jay Recruiter talked about it. Jay Recruiter said Jimmy Johnson tried to roll up in Miami and get the Dan Marino trade. You better believe he did. Jimmy wanted that Dan Marino trade. With Jimmy, it was about winning. Jimmy didn't care about legacy. Jimmy was a part of the regime that ran out Tom Landry. Does anybody not understand the kahunas you have to come in after Tom Landry and start acting like, yeah, I'm about to replace a legend and I'm going to become a legend? Man, you got to have an ego out this room. Jimmy was one of the most arrogant guys you ever want to meet. But he was all about winning. If I was Brian, and I don't know what kind of cachet he has, but if I was Brian, this is what I'd be talking to the Joneses about. We're either going to sit down and have a talk with Michael Parsons, and he's going to shut his mouth, or I say trade him. I would. I would literally tell him, trade him. Trade him. I would. I'd tell him. Stephen White signed J. Lou for show. Michael Parsons about to get tossed to Dallas by his Uncle Jerry. I'm sorry, Browns. Let me tell you something. Hey, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, Blue Star, I'd do it. I would. I would do it. This would be the type of move that would send shockwaves through that organization. And I guarantee you, some of us on the outside would be crying and making videos. Let me tell you about that locker room based on this right here. See, some people don't understand. I've played sports. And when you got a guy like this, nobody cares how good he is. Nobody cares. And don't let me say, don't, I don't want to say nobody cares how good he is. He better be Michael Jeffrey Jordan elite for people to put up with nonsense. But when you're talking about like a great player, people don't want to put up with this from great players because they've seen great players before. Elite and great are two different categories. And a lot of the players are probably like Warren Sapp. They're digging inside of the numbers too. And they're like, you know what? Hey, man, I know this dude is good to great, but he's great. But, hey, man, let's stop acting like. How much you bet some people in the locker room will be relieved? And, again, I'm going to get to some of your comments here in a moment. But, again, I want you to look at this. I just wonder if Michael Parsons is playing semantical games. I'm the only one that keeps talking about this. I haven't seen nobody else talking about it. But this is a game. I just think Michael Parsons is playing the game and nobody wants to. Either people are just not smart enough to go do research and truly understand what Michael Parsons is saying. I don't think people understand what Michael Parsons is saying. Michael Parsons said, I don't have to be the highest paid player. So tell me where you fit, Michael. I'm the only one that keeps showing this. Show us where you fit. Because I don't care what argument you were going to make. You're not better than Nick Bosa. I know that may make some people mad. Michael Parsons is not better than Nick Bosa. He's not. He's not better than Nick Bosa. I'm not taking Michael Parsons over Nick Bosa. I'm not. I don't know about y'all. Y'all entitled to y'all opinion. I'm not taking Micah Parsons over Nick Bosa. I'm not doing it. Nick Bosa is far and above the highest paid edge rusher in the game at $170 million, $34 million average a year, total guaranteed of $122.5 million. I'm pretty sure with roster bonuses and all of that, fully guaranteed $88 million. So for people who don't know this stuff. So you're saying you don't have to be the highest paid. So where you want to be? 160? You want to be at 160 million. Because that's still a lot of doggone money, y'all. That's still a lot of money. Let's stop acting like every time Micah Parsons says, I don't have to be the highest paid player, as if we're talking Montez Sweat money. 98 million total value, 24 million a year, total guaranteed 72 fully. Now, this is a number you need to pay attention to. Fully guaranteed $41 million. Let's stop acting like Micah Parsons is talking like that kind of money. Now, I don't believe in pocket watching. I say make all the money that you can. But where I start having problems is when you start trying to down the quarterback saying, well, you know what they say when you're the highest paid player on the team, you don't have players around you. So you're saying, and I don't have to be the highest paid player. So can you tell? So for all of us who have some actual sense, all of us who have some logic, all of us who can go to these tools that I don't pay for, they're free on the internet, that when we can go and look at what everyone is being paid. So when you say you don't have to be the highest paid, can you, I mean, just for you the one put it out there. So now can we ask some questions? Can you tell us where you want to be on the list? Can you tell us where you want to be? I'm hearing people say numbers like 40 million a year. I'm just telling y'all, if Micah Parsons gets a fully guaranteed $160 million, 4-year, $160 million, $40 million a year guaranteed, that's more the same. It's more the same. It's more the same dumb logic. It's more the same. It is. It's about 8:05. Now, for all of you who are members, I think what I'm going to do on Friday, we're going to open up the phone line. And let me see. I don't even know if I brought my phone with me. Man, let me tell y'all, this thing with the call-in, boy, you really have to have this thing set up right. I want to see. Let me see if I can get this set up. But come Friday, for sure, we are going to open up the phone lines to everybody. So I'm preparing myself now. I'm definitely preparing myself now. But I'm telling us, when you think about this, guys, we have to ask ourselves, we got to stop being fooled by what Micah Parsons is saying. Well, what do you want to be paid? Because I believe that Micah Parsons is telling us one thing, and I think his agent is telling us something else. Or not telling us something else. I think his agent may be saying something else. I do. I really think the agent may be saying something else. I do. Sean M., help me out. I'm looking at your comment. Sean M. said 3 first rounders. Hold on, let me. Sean M. said 3 first rounders for Micah is silly. So you think that's not enough? Or you think it's too many? Comment there at the bottom. Tell me what you're thinking on that. Because I'm telling us, as it applies to this contract with Micah Parsons, it's got my spidey senses tingling, because I'm like, so this man has been begging to be signed by the Cowboys. Well, doggone it, why haven't they signed him? Why haven't they signed him? What's the problem? I mean, someone is literally telling you they'll take less money and all these different things. So why haven't they signed him? Some people say they love the drama. But I got another question. What is he asking? And then I saw another comment. Someone said, well, if the Cowboys are not going to be aggressive in free agency, then there's no reason for Micah Parsons to take a discount. Oh, I see. Because I also had already pointed this out before. If you listen to what Micah Parsons said on his ESPN interview, I thought it was strange that he said, depending upon how aggressive we are in free agency. And then when they interviewed him on Radio Row during the Super Bowl, I caught what the guy from CBS asked him. He said, would you be willing to take a pay cut for Myles Garrett? He said yes for Myles Garrett. But then he throws in another caveat and says, would he be willing to take a pay cut too? I'm just telling y'all, I'm just stop listening to this stuff with Micah Parsons. I'm just not buying any of it. And we got to stop thinking that Micah Parsons literally has some influence with I'm sorry to tell y'all, he just doesn't have any influence. He doesn't. If he had influence, you would have knew it. Because they would have asked him about what coaches should they have gotten. Does anybody not understand what I'm telling you? When you got influence, they will ask you about things. They didn't ask him about no coaches. They asked him about coaches for. And I'm sorry, I'm not asking him about no players. What am I asking him about players for? This man talks pure emotion. He doesn't do any scouting. He doesn't mean nothing. He doesn't mean nothing what they're saying. Troy Dudley says Micah 100% knows it. After NFL life depends on being a Cowboy. Pay him linebacker money, move on. Yes, sir. If not, see you. I'm with you, Troy. I'm with you. You want to be, and you know what? Troy, I think what you're saying is so powerful. You know why? Hey, man, in Matt Eberflus's defense, somebody's going to have to tell me how Micah Parsons fits into a rushing 4-down lineman. Somebody's going to have to tell me. Because I don't see where he fits into that. Hey, man, in Matt Eberflus's defense, we're going to need you to move to linebacker. We'll make you the highest paid linebacker. But as far as defensive end, you don't fit. And I think we all need to face that. I don't think he fits in that 4-down lineman set. I don't think he fits in there. Troy says, nobody's giving 2 first-rounders for Michael. Let's be real. You know what? And I could be totally wrong. I think they're floating this out there. This came from the Joneses, y'all. This didn't come from Stephen Jones. They floated this out there about the Micah Parsons stuff. They floated it. Let me tell y'all something. Do not think for a second that these people don't know how to build, that the Joneses in particular don't know how to build a team. They did it with Herschel. If they could pull it off with Michael, they would. Woo, Darren Posey. Michael is the NFL's Jimmy Butler. He getting there. I'm with you. Alex said if you can get good draft picks for Michael, I'd take it, especially if Michael's looking to get $40 million. And it'd have to be for a team that's building, because I'm not giving him up to a team that's winning. The draft picks, while they'll be good, they won't be what you need. You want to draft in the top half of the draft if you're going to trade Micah Parsons. Jimmy Johnson going to pull Mike aside and get him right. We don't have a coach that's going to do that. Man, you just said something there, Sean M. You said something there. Because I think that's what Brian needs to do. I think Brian needs to pull him to the side. Sean says, Jimmy said himself that he treated star players differently than the other players. You know what? I love what Darren Woodson said. Darren Woodson said, Jimmy got on Troy, and then it rolled downhill. I mean, somebody got to pull him to the side. They do. Somebody's got to pull him to the side. Because if they don't, it's over. Oh, yeah, Robert, he gave up any leverage. I bet you his agent is having a headache right now. Because if I'm Jerry and his agent is talking to me, I'm just telling him, hey, Michael said he'll take less. We're holding you to it. Because we're not going just less as in Nick Bosa. We're going less. We're going less. I mean, I'm just telling y'all, man, if the Cowboys sign Micah Parsons to a huge deal, it's going to be more the same. It is. Well, I can tell you this, Danks. If they sign both Osa Odighizuwa and Micah Parsons to a huge deal, we're going to have to do more with less again. It's just the only thing. It's all we can do. That's all we're going to do is do more with less. Trade Micah Parsons for a 1 and a 2 in 2025 and a 1 in 2026 and a player to be named later. Boy, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. 70s fans, so he should shut up and act like normal players and hate the owners. And you know what? I definitely don't think he should hate the owners. But I'll tell you what I think he is doing, 70s fan. I think he's doing too much advocating for the owner. I just think he would be better served in being quiet. I say just be quiet. Just let everything play out. And if you're going to do your talking, do it behind closed doors. I mean, think about it. He doesn't have to tell us that he went and talked to Jerry Jones last night. You want to build a better culture? You got Jerry Jones' number. Call him. You don't have to tell us you called him. Just call him and say, hey, man, hey, Jerry, let me in on the plan. What are we doing? I mean, you know what, man? We want to win. Me, Dak, CD. I wish those three would go in Jerry's office. No cameras. No talking to anybody. Them three go in. Tell Jerry how they're feeling. Tell Jerry what they want to do. I'm just telling you about me. I understand who Dak Prescott is on this team. If I really wanted to get something done on this team and I was Micah Parsons, I would literally get with Dak Prescott and go to Jerry Jones. I would. I would go to Dak and say, Dak, hey, go talk. Come with me and talk to Jerry. You need a line. You need a running back, a wide receiver. I want this. I want another edge rusher. I want a linebacker. We may need to be looking at cornerback. I'd be saying all this stuff. And let Dak, me, and CD, let us three together try to move the needle on this thing. Talk to the Joneses. Tell them how we feel. Let them know we're aligned. We're behind you on the coaches. We love what you've done with the coaches. Now, let's do something with the players. And for me, Jerry has done the first part of what I wanted to see. Go look at these coaches the Cowboys got. And I'm telling you, they got a good coaching staff. We can't call it championship level yet. This coaching staff is better than Mike McCarthy's. This coaching staff, I think, is better than even Jason Garrett's coaching staff. I don't even remember Parcells' coaching staff. But this is the kind of coaching staff, to me, this is the kind of coaching staff similar to how they put together the Jimmy Johnson coaching staff. They did work on his coaching staff, and we can do nothing but appreciate it. They did work on it. Garland says now you can sign Myles Garrett to a 2-year deal. I'm very interested to see what happens with Myles Garrett. I think that Myles Garrett may just be getting a deal. I'm going to be shocked. I'm going to be shocked if the Cleveland Browns actually trade somebody like Myles Garrett. I just can't see where teams are going to give up that kind of draft capital for him. I mean, to me, Myles Garrett is the type of player that if it's me, I'm one player away. I'm one player away, so I'm going to give up the farm. I think they're going to be hard pressed, at least based on what they're asking for. because they want Micah Parsons and a player. Nah, bro, you need to take Micah Parsons and give us a player. Micah Parsons is younger than Myles Garrett. I don't think he's better, but he's younger. Sean says if you're not getting an equal player in value for Micah, it would be a dumb trade. Yeah, I agree with you on that, for sure. And if you're not getting an equal player, it better be equal. I mean, the trade better be off the chain. It better be off the chain. G-Dub says, so much more talk about this team than Micah. Wish we would talk about those things instead of Micah 24/7. Well, we've given time to Osa Odighizuwa, but Micah Parsons plays into it. And G-Dub, we just got to take it for what it is. Micah has made himself, he continues to make himself a part of the talk. And not only that, G-Dub, Micah signing and Osa Odighizuwa signing is going to tell us everything we need to know. Everything we need to know is going to be told to us. All right, let me read another super chat here. Stacy White. See right here, Stacy White. I'm with you. Right here. Micah's only doing what the Joneses do. Let me stay right there for a moment. And this is what has me so aggravated. Because how detrimental has a lot of that talk that Joneses do in the DFW area just made fans furious. Locker room dividing talk. Letting the local radio stations, 105.3 The Fan, Jerry goes on there and let them do his dirty work and negotiate contracts in the court of public opinion and say things about players. It's just sickening to me. And you're right, Micah is doing exactly what the Joneses do. And that's the part I don't like. At least Micah's not sitting here like Zeke being used up and not saying nothing. Why he be quiet when the Joneses talk out the side of their neck? You know what? And Zeke didn't say a whole lot because the money that Jerry paid Zeke was insanity. The money he paid him was insane. Not to mention, Jerry loved him some Zeke Elliott. Jerry was ready to fight the entire NFL over Ezekiel Elliott. The entire NFL. Crazy talk. But he was. So I know why Zeke wasn't saying anything. But Micah, I think he's doing a lot of talking that he should be doing behind closed doors rather than with the doors open. You want to change things in Dallas? Keep the talking in-house. Because I'll give the Joneses credit. One thing I can say about them, they haven't been doing a lot of talking. I mean, they're just silent on this stuff. They're totally silent. We don't know really what's going through the Joneses. I mean, we don't really know what's going through their mind other than what they told us they were going to do. And so for me, I'm just waiting to see what they're going to do. That's all we can do. And I'm telling you, the next domino we have to be looking for, Osa Odighizuwa, Micah Parsons. Because I'm telling you, if they sign both of them to large deals, we're going to be doing more with less again. Because they're going to eat up a huge chunk of the salary cap depending upon how they do those deals. It's going to be a huge, huge, huge chunk. All right, let me see something here. I was trying to see if my brother from another mother was on real quick. Hold on a second. Sean M., he says, sign Osa and trade Mozzie. Okay. Mozzie is a good fit for us. Mozzie is not a good fit for us. You know what? I think they keep trying to make Mozzie work. I don't know if he gonna work. I just don't know if he gonna work. True Cowboy, he said we got the right coaching staff, so let's get the right free agents and the right draft picks. And you know what? This is another reason why I'm very perturbed with Micah Parsons. They're trying to do things differently, not the old way of doing things. And this, what Micah is doing to me, is the old way of doing things. The one thing I want y'all to remember, they talked about culture, continuity, communication. Why don't Micah, rather than communicating in the court of public opinion, communicate behind closed doors? Communicate behind closed doors. But all this out in the open stuff, it's just too distracting. It's too distracting. This team has some serious work to do. And it makes me wonder, I'm still not understanding, why have they not signed Micah Parsons? That don't make sense. It makes no sense in any stretch of the imagination, because if Micah Parsons has volunteered to take a pay cut, it makes no sense. Unless they're trying to figure out, and again, this is speculation, unless they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get Osa and Micah in here? I don't know what else they could be doing. But if Michael has basically told you he's willing to take the pay cut, well, give it to him. Give him the pay cut then. But I think there's another issue at hand, and the part that no one's asking the question of. Okay, how much is he willing to take? How much is he willing to take? That's the question. Let me read a couple of more comments. Louise, what's going on? He said DQ already wants Osa. Yep. And I think Dan Quinn is going to be a problem. I mean, let me play the other side of this. If I'm Osa Odighizuwa, I'm just being honest with y'all. This could be Osa Odighizuwa's. This could be Osa Odighizuwa's last contract. Y'all forgive me. I'm having a conversation about the phone lines. But okay. All right. So it is 8:22. It's 8:22. Hold on a second. So again, members. Right now, I only have this open to the paid members. Don't y'all worry. We're going to get this open to everybody by Friday, but we're still kind of making sure we got all the kinks worked out of this thing before I really just started opening it up, which I will do on Friday. But members, I am going go in to the members only part of my page. There is a 2-minute video that'll give you the call-in number. Some of you who've already called in, you probably already have the number. You can call in, and I'm going to hear your thoughts on what we've been talking about. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on what we've been talking about. So again, it's the only video that's in the members only section right now. Says for members only. There is a 2-minute video, and the number to call into the show is on there. So if you have joined the channel, if you're a wild card member and up, you can call in, and I'll take calls till I'll give it 30 minutes so we can get a few calls in. So I'll stay monitored, and then I'm on, like I said, it's open. Let me see. Let me make sure we go in here. But yeah, we are. I got the line open right now. And then we'll conclude about 9 o'clock. But I'm gonna give you guys the last few words. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say on some of the things I've been talking about. I won't be able to, so we got 29 total members now, so I know I won't be able to get everybody in tonight. So again, if y'all remember, Nisi, the Rebel Chicks, some of y'all, if y'all remember the number, y'all can go ahead and call in if you want to. Anybody who's called in, if not, if you are a channel member, as far as wild card on up, there's a quick 2-minute video. You can go over there, get the number, and then you can call in. And I'll be taking calls for the last few minutes, and then we're going to conclude at 9 o'clock. But again, I'm telling us, this thing with Osa Odighizuwa and the Dallas Cowboys is serious. And the reason why it's serious, I want y'all to think about what happens with Osa Odighizuwa. And I thought about this today. Osa Odighizuwa is going to change what we're going to do in free agency, change what we're going to do in the draft. Because if Osa Odighizuwa walks, now we're going to need a defensive tackle. We're going to need a defensive tackle. And we're going to have to get one in free agency and or the draft. Sean Hill made a great point about Mozzie. And Mozzie hasn't quite lived up to what I think the Cowboys wanted him to be. So I'm very interested on the whole Mozzie experiment. I mean, what did they do there? What did they do with Mozzie? So I would be very I wouldn't be opposed to the Cowboys trading Mozzie. I mean, you know what? That makes some sense too. Robert M. says, I get that, a millionaire trying to outthink a billionaire. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, they're not listening to nothing Micah Parsons is saying. I think they think what Micah Parsons is saying is cute, but other than that, I don't think they even care. Louise said, we still had to pay Zeke on the last part. Yep, we were still paying him. That's why Jones wanted to pay. Yep, they paid him, man. We already had to pay him. He didn't get that much of, if you look at it, and Zeke wants to retire a Cowboy. I think he does too. I think he'll be back to retire a Cowboy too. Gary McKnight can't get over Micah Parsons. Not bashing him. You're missing it. Can't get over Micah Parsons. That's the part that if you've ever played organized sports, you would know exactly what I'm saying. You can't get over a player like Micah Parsons. Someone who says, get over Micah Parsons. And I'm not saying this in a mean way, Gary. But I'm saying I would have a problem with you too. I have a problem with people who ignore nonsense. I have a problem with people who do that. You can't be on my team. I got a problem with people who do that. Because then you become a part of the problem. Because then, just like what you just did, Gary, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, but see, you're defending the problem. I got a problem with that. And me and you would have a problem. When there's a problem on the team, folk are not supposed to ignore the problem on the team. What somebody need to do is step to him in his face and tell him to shut up like DeMarcus Lawrence did. And even more than that, more than DeMarcus Lawrence, More people, Dak Prescott, they need to step to him as a collective group and say, man, shut your mouth, bro. We're tired of you talking. Shut up. We're trying to do something different here. Can you stop putting our business out in the streets? When I was a child, you got a whooping for this type of stuff. You got your butt beat if you went out in the streets and started talking your mom and dad's business. No, that's the problem. No, we can't get over Micah Parsons, and we can't get past Micah Parsons because his contract is going to affect how this team also does business. Because once they sign him to a contract, then Micah Parsons, the dumbness that he's doing now, he gets to continue to do that dumbness then. No, I don't ignore problems. So you know what? You can do that all you want to, Gary Midnight. I don't do that. I don't do that. I got a problem. If I got a problem and everyone knows it's a problem and they're ignoring it, they're the problem too. I'm going to say the quiet parts out loud. I don't care who it makes mad. Micah Parsons is a problem. And for people to think that this guy got some kind of power, it's delusional to think Micah Parsons has power. He don't even have the power to get his own contract done. They've done everything they've done despite Micah Parsons. In spite of Micah Parsons. They haven't come to him one time and asked him what he thinks. But he keeps telling them what he thinks. I laugh at people who have the unmitigated gall to think because Dak Prescott isn't out in the court of public opinion talking about the Jones and saying, yeah, Jerry needs to be more aggressive. No, I think Dak has actually been telling us exactly what they're going to do. We're just not listening. Brian Schottenheimer is going to bring a run game to this team. Dak Prescott has said, I'm going back to play action. I like what Brian Schottenheimer is doing. Dak's going to have some influence even on the playbook. They know exactly what they're doing. I believe they know exactly what they're doing. We just don't know. I think they know the direction they're going in, but I do think also the other issue is they need to decide the direction they're going to go with Micah Parsons because it's going to be more of this stuff with Micah Parsons once he signs a deal. These are conversations you need to be having about players. You do. You need to be having these conversations about players. Why? Because this is your opportunity. If you want to get rid of him, get rid of him. But if you're saying you're willing to keep putting up with the stupid talk, well, then I guess you're going to keep putting up with the stupid talk. But I wouldn't do it. I think it's detrimental to the team. I mean, Stacey made a thing about what Jerry and them do. Well, have we not understood what Jerry and them do? What Jerry and Steven does? It's detrimental to the team. How many times they've divided locker rooms, how many times they put out narratives, how many times they've assassinated the character of players, some of the same stuff Micah Parsons does. No, Micah's a problem. He's good, but he's a problem. We need DTS. Flus is going back to 4-3. If you trade Mozzie, how do you think you're getting? How much would it cost to replace him? Do you see the problem with depleting your defense? Well, I think if you get rid of Mozzie, here becomes the issue. If you're talking about getting rid of Mozzie, you actually don't deplete your defense. Glad you asked that question. So let's look at a couple of things here. So if we're talking about Mozzie Smith, if we're talking about Osa Odighizuwa, I'm sorry. So we're talking about Osa Odighizuwa. Osa Odighizuwa's contract, they're talking about $24 million a year. And I just think if you put Osa Odighizuwa up in this, you can't do it. I just don't think you can do it. I don't think he's the type of player that you put in that area. Osa Odighizuwa, and this is their fault. It's not Odighizuwa's fault. Odighizuwa is more down in this range. Odighizuwa is not in the 20 million plus range, and everyone knows it. But the problem is the Cowboys put him in that range by the way they wait to do contracts. That's the dumb part. The way they choose to do the contracts. And because the way they this is a part of their dumb way of doing things, waiting so long on Osa Odighizuwa's contract rather than Osa Odighizuwa being where he's supposed to be. I'm sorry, you can't put Odighizuwa up here. You can't. You can't do it. And you can't do it for the sake of, well, we need a defensive tackle. Okay, let me show you a couple of options. You do have some options. One of your options is go in free agency. Go in free agency. That's what you do. There will be defensive tackles in free agency. And the question you have to ask yourself, okay, what's the drop-off from Osa Odighizuwa? That becomes the question. You got some of these guys, you can either bring in an older veteran, somebody who is performing well, but they're at the end of some contract. Or you can, if you choose, you could bring in a young guy. But there are a number of defensive tackles that will be available. So maybe you want to put yourself up in this range. Maybe you want to go up in here. You maybe want to do the B.J. Hill or D.J. Jones or Bastion Joseph. I mean, the moment you go in free agency, you can get some of these guys to where one of them, because if you're keeping Mozzie Smith, if you're going to stay with that experiment to see if he improves this year, one of these guys, I'm sure, can go in here and fit in at defensive tackle. I would get one of these, if not two, but I would get one of these defensive tackles. I would go in, see who the highest rated defensive tackle is out of these, other than Osa Odighizuwa. But this is where I'm going. But it also becomes a problem. Because now that means that you're going to have to go inside of, you're going to have to go to the draft. And when you look at the defensive tackles in the draft, this is probably going to change how you do your draft. So we're going to have to accept that. If we don't re-sign Osa Odighizuwa, it is going to change how we do the draft. It is. So that means in free agency, you got to go in there and get one replacement. You got to go in there and get one replacement. Now, from what I've noticed, there's only two defensive tackles that are going in the first round, or at least what they're projecting. There are two defensive tackles. Mason Graham, Walter Nolan. They're saying Mason Graham is going top 10. If I'm not mistaken, Mason Graham is going number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, or at least this is what they are predicting. I don't think Mason Graham makes it to the Cowboys. No way, no how. I don't think he makes it. So the question becomes, if you're not going to be able to get those two edge rushers, those two defensive tackles, you're not getting Mason Graham or Walter Nolan. So you could still go running back in the first round. You can still get Ashton Jeanty if he's there in the first round. I wanted a wide receiver in the second round. That's me. I want running back in the first, wide receiver in the second. So if I can't go wide receiver in the second, then, if I got to go now defensive tackle, you're going to get some options in here. I think Kenneth Grant, by the time you get back around to the second round, because according to Tankatron, I don't see any more defensive linemen. You got Walter Nolan. He's number 17. This is at least what they're projecting. This could be totally wrong. Okay, no, I'm sorry. There's 3. So Kenneth Grant will be gone, according to them, to the Buffalo Bills. So you miss you miss out on the top three. I think the Cowboys, unless people go crazy on defensive tackles, I think they'll have a shot. Harmon could possibly be gone, and Tyleik Williams could possibly be gone. But I do think you will get an opportunity at Alfred Collins, Deion Walker, Omar Norman Lott, Jordan Phillips. You will be able to get an opportunity at still one of the top 12 defensive tackles. You may have to go defensive tackle in the second if you don't sign Osa Odighizuwa. And then, of course, you get one in free agency. And then you got Mazi. Matter of fact, maybe you get two in free agency so you can have a little bit of depth. So I say the Cowboys go to the draft. If I'm not mistaken, what was Osa Odighizuwa? Third round? Well, go to the second round this time. Go to the second round and get you a defensive tackle. Third round, get you a wide receiver. Now, unfortunately, if you go to the third round on wide receiver, you're going to miss out on some of these wide receivers, I believe, like Ibuka and people like that. You're going to miss out. But that's why I'm telling us this Osa Odighizuwa, the Osa Odighizuwa, Micah Parsons signing is going to tell us everything we need to know. Because we already know they're going to be able to flip the switch on Dak Prescott's contract, flip the switch on CeeDee Lamb's contract. But, and Micah Parsons, if you sign Micah Parsons, he will save you money on the salary cap in the immediate. But what compounds that is making one Osa Odighizuwa, making him a $20+ million a year player. Now that's going to add more money to what now you cannot do. Because you're probably going to make Micah Parsons somewhere around what? 30. It sounds like to me it's been a bunch of semantics with the Micah Parsons stuff about he don't have to be the highest paid. Well, of course you don't, because they were probably not going to ever pay you more than Nick Bosa, which they could shock us and do that too. But I don't think they were going to do that. But if you put him even at somewhere around 160, 160, 165, you're still talking about $30-something million a year. And then you're talking about Osa Odighizuwa. That's another $20 million a year. So you're talking about $50-something million a year for two players. Man, that's tough climbing for me. That is tough climbing for me. And the one I'm really stuck on is Osa Odighizuwa. I just can't see Osa Odighizuwa at $20 million a season for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, if I'm the Cowboys, Ashton Jeanty is there in the first, I'm taking Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is not there in the first, I'm going to trade back, and then I'll get a Marion Hampton, and then I'll get me a defensive tackle. And then I'll get me a wide receiver. And then I'll see what I do in the fifth and on. But now, like I said, I thought they were going to do running back and wide receiver in the first two rounds anyway. Third round for me was really take your pick. But with this Osa Odighizuwa thing, if they don't sign Osa Odighizuwa, you're going to have to go to the draft and get another defensive tackle, which I would not be opposed to do. I think some of these kids would be fine at defensive tackle. I do. I think they would be fine at defensive tackle. But y'all tell me what you think on that, because I'm just telling you, man. I can't do Osa. I can't do it. Ice Cold said, G has a valid point. Why hasn't Jones signed Micah Parsons? I mean, Ice Cold, that's my question. Why haven't they signed him? Micah Parsons has begged. I don't know any other way to put it. He's begged. He's been doing it since mid-season. I don't have to be the highest paid player. I don't have to be the highest paid player. I don't have to be the highest paid player. Okay, Michael, we get it. I want the Cowboys to be aggressive. I want players around me, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. We get it. We get it. We get it. So why haven't they signed him? I thought they had to wait till March the 12th. I had to do some investigating on it. And then finally, Mike Fisher finally came out and said it. The Cowboys could have already signed Micah Parsons. Why haven't they signed him? Why haven't they signed Micah Parsons with everything he's been saying? I know why they haven't signed Osa Odighizuwa. I don't think they're really confident on signing Osa Odighizuwa at the money he's talking about being signed at. And then with Micah Parsons, is it the drama or is it common sense? To say you don't have to be the highest paid player is like CeeDee Lamb saying, I don't have to be the highest paid player. And then he turns around, he's the second highest paid player to Justin Jefferson. They have a state tax in Minnesota. So for CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, I bet if you do the state tax versus no state tax in Texas, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb are making almost the same amount of money. Negligible. And I think, regardless of what Mike is saying, I wonder what his agent is saying. So these are the two signings that are going to tell us everything the Cowboys are going to do. And I think Osa Odighizuwa more than Micah Parsons. I think we're all kind of expecting the Cowboys to sign Micah Parsons, but the Odighizuwa thing, I said it before the season was even over. I said Osa Odighizuwa has played himself out of a contract. Because I'll be honest with you. Let me play the other side. Sean M said if Osa want to go over there, let him go then. And Sean, let me play the other side. If I'm Osa Odighizuwa, this could be my last contract. I'm hitting free agency. You better believe I'm hitting free agency. I'm hitting the free agency. Only way I don't hit free agency is I don't like Micah Parsons. The only way I don't hit free agency is I want to be a Dallas Cowboy and I'm willing to take a discount. And if I'm Osa Odighizuwa, this is my first big contract, man, I'm not taking no discount. I'm not taking a discount on my first contract. I'm going to strike while the iron is hot. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. I'm signing that contract. I am. Miss Matrix, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Sean M., Jerry should pick up the phone to Kellen and ask for Cam Jordan. Yeah. I'm with you, for sure. Freddie said the problem with Mike is that he's talking like he's the biggest thing since sliced bread, and he ain't yeast yet, and he ain't yeast yet. I'm with you. And the thing that kills me is how some of the fan base like this nonsense. It's the very thing that's been a problem on the team. How about just take it in-house? Somebody tell me, what's the difference in Micah Parsons talking to Jerry direct, talking in-house, and never telling the press he's saying anything? What's the problem with that? What's the problem? How does it help more for him going to the press? When we already know there have been way more. If Michael Irvin, who does the pregame hype show for the Cowboys, a part of the organization, sits with Jerry all the time at games, if he can't convince Jerry to do things, so you're telling me Micah Parsons can? I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it. Richard said, gee, someone has to pull Jerry to the side and tell him that people with power don't say much. They let their money speak for them, and we shall hear something soon. I love it. And Richard, isn't it strange? I gotta tell the truth on this. Jerry hasn't been doing any talking. And as a matter of fact, Jerry wasn't even talking until Brian Schottenheimer got signed. And have y'all noticed? And since that press conference, Schottenheimer hadn't said, Jerry hasn't said near a word. Again, he's not doing talking. It's Micah doing some of the same talking that Jerry used to do. I say all of them be quiet. Do all your talking about the Cowboys inside. Now, all the other stuff, the general stuff, I'm not worried about with Micah Parsons. I'm not even sweating it. I mean, if Micah Parsons was just saying stuff like, "Hey man, we're a good team, we're building, we're gonna be great next year." Okay, I love it. That's the kind of talk that builds the locker room. But all the other stuff, just don't need it. Nisi said, the sad thing, G, is that maybe they have talked to him and he's still doing it. Now, that would be sad. You're right, Nisi. That part would be sad. Well, we already know, Nisi. I mean, you pointed it out. DeMarcus Lawrence told him to shut the F up. He ain't shut up yet. Now, I noticed that day he got away from DeMarcus Lawrence. I noticed he got away from DeMarcus Lawrence that day. But even they know. I'm telling you, that article hit it right on the head. The noise coming out of the building about the relationships with Micah Parsons. I'm sorry, people can tell me anything they want to. I wouldn't trust him. I would not trust him as a player. I would not trust nothing he says. Someone who talks to the coaches all the time, I couldn't do it. Louise, freedom of speech is your First Amendment right. You got to go to him and with some, yeah, I believe you. Because if you come to him wrong, you're going to get the same results as Dak. And you know what? Lewis, let me tell you something about freedom of speech. Man, I will fight for it till the day I die. I'll fight for it. But let me tell you something. There are also consequences to what you say. That's what men and women understand. The person who just wants to say what they want to say, hey, it's a free country. Everybody say what they want to say. I agree with you. I'll fight for your freedom of speech, even when you're saying stupid stuff. But all I implore you to do, now that you know you have freedom of speech, understand the power of speech. And when you understand the power of speech, you're very careful with how you speak. You can either speak words that unify, or you can speak words that divide. You can speak words that encourage, or you can speak words that discourage. You can put yourself on a pedestal, or you can humble yourself and put other people on a pedestal. The power of speech, when you understand the power of freedom of speech, you'll understand something. So now that I know I can say it, let me also understand. Responsibility comes with it. Consequences come with it. Because even in your freedom of speech, you mess around and you say the wrong thing, you're going to have to answer for it. Yeah, now you got to answer for it. There's results to things that we say. And if we're mature, we understand that, and we are very careful at how we speak, when we speak, and who we speak to. We are. So we got to understand that. And if I'm going to be a leader, the one thing I am going to be careful of, there's two things actually. I'm going to be careful of what I say, and I'm going to be careful of what I do. You know why? Because I want the audio to match the video. My friend Mike Bonner told me that I'll never forget it. My audio got to match my video. I can't say I want to be a leader, but I talk like a divider. If I want to be a leader, I talk like a unifier. If I want to be a leader, I talk like a leader. I walk like a leader. Like a leader. See me, I say your walk got to match your talk. Your walk got to match your talk. And Michael does, I'm telling this, and people get mad all they want to, I'm just telling us. His behavior is the epitome of the problem that has been on this team for way too long. We got to stop letting this be 53 brands and let this be a team. Let this be a team. Y'all remember when A.J. Brown was doing that talking earlier this year? Strange, isn't it? Strange, isn't it, what happened the week after? Strange, now he's on the sidelines reading books. Because somebody went to him in-house and said, man, calm down, bro. We're winning. Calm down. Let's not put our business in the streets. Calm down. This is what you do when you really want to be a leader. You don't talk yourself into things. You understand the things that your talk does. Ice Wall Cowboy. Problems don't go, they grow. I love it. Yes, sir. Robert said, don't act like Michael didn't get pushed around on D and can't produce late in games. Mr. 1 second playoffs for career. Yeah, I said it. For real. For real. I'm with you. For real. Renan says if Parsons get the big deal, he will talk more and more. And you know what? That may be something to talk to her having too. Got to understand. This doesn't go away if you sign him. It gets worse. It gets worse. It does. Because I would be having some serious talks with him about things he says on his podcast and all this stuff. But Louis Ortiz, I would have never paid Dak that amount of money. I would have paid him if he proved himself at the end of the year, tired of playing injured players as soon as the contracts begin. Well, you know, I'll say this. They didn't have to pay him that kind of money. You know why, Louise? They could have signed him in 2023. They paid Dak the money because it was their fault. They structured Dak Prescott's deal to be redone and waited until the last minute to get it done. Dak Prescott's contract was never designed for Dak to walk, cut, or be traded. It was designed. They designed it like this. When you are signed to a $40 million a year deal and there is a no trade clause, that contract and the way they structured it, especially at the end of that contract, the huge cap hit it was going to take, it was always designed. That's what people don't understand. It was always designed to be extended. Just like this contract now. I heard Mike Fisher. Mike Fisher is saying some things, and I really respect Mike Fisher. I love a lot of things that he says. But as it applies to Dak Prescott's contract, he's right, but he's not right. Dak Prescott's contract is not designed for the Dallas Cowboys to get from under that contract in 2 seasons. That contract is designed for the Cowboys to get out of that contract really in 3 seasons. That's how that contract is designed. Because if they walk away from that money on Dak Prescott, I'll show you again on something that you can probably understand it on. Let's see. Dak Prescott's contract is designed that for the Cowboys to be able to really, if they want to get from up under it without as big of a cap hit, is to get from up under that contract in 2027. But if they get from under that contract in 2026, the end of 2026, they're still going to take a massive cap hit. They're going to take a massive cap hit on that thing. $62 million. I don't think it's happening. I don't. I don't think that's happening. I think what's really going to happen is they're going to kick Dak Prescott's money down into what you see down here. They're going to kick this money down into these void years. That's where they're going to kick that money. They're going to kick that money into the void years, so Dak will basically be getting paid from the Cowboys until 2032. I guarantee you. And he probably won't be even on he won't even be on the team. And I think if there's any year they're going to release Dak Prescott, if they're going to do it, I think it'll be at the end of the 2027 season. By that time, they'll be done kicked. They will have already kicked a lot of that money down here. Dak will still be getting paid, and Dak will be able to walk away at 34 years old. But I got a strange feeling. I think Dak Prescott is going to try and retire a Dallas Cowboy, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to try to make sure that Dak Prescott retires as a Dallas Cowboy. I would find it hard to believe that at 35, I mean, I know these quarterbacks, though, they can play until they're 40. I just have a hard time believing that Dak Prescott, if something is not going right with his body, and as much money as Dak Prescott has made, I'd have a hard time believing that Dak Prescott is going to try to play until he's 39 or 40 if things aren't going right. But at this point, I'm not even worried about the whole 2027 thing of them letting Dak run out of here or anything like that. I think what the Cowboys have got to do is they got to focus on cashing in on Dak Prescott's contract. I'm not paying you $231 million not to win a Super Bowl. No, bro. I'm paying you $231 million. We're going to put some players around you, and we're going to make a ferocious run at this thing before you get out of here. I'm not thinking about cutting that. That talk isn't even in my mind if I'm the Cowboys. No, it is time for us to win with Dak Prescott. And Jerry even said as much. Jerry said it is time to win with Dak Prescott. And we're going to win with Dak Prescott. He said it. Man, true Cowboy, I wish they would. I really do. I wish they would put a shut your mouth clause in Micah Parsons' contract. And he can talk, but Micah, stop saying stuff that's detrimental to the team. I'd tell him. Ice Cowboy, Ice Wall Cowboy, you saying it. Power corrupts. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. Yes, sir. You hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head, Ice Wall Cowboy. You hit it right on the head. For sure. For sure. Ice Cold, he said, Professor G, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just telling us what I'm seeing. The Eagles front four is going to get a lot of players overpaid. You better believe it is. Yep. And you know what? Kudos to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is about to get a lot of running backs paid. And I don't think running backs should have never not been getting paid. Man, running games have always been crucial to championships. Always been crucial. Man, we let Patrick Mahomes come in here on a couple of Super Bowls and spoil everybody. I don't even say on the second one, but he spoiled everybody on the first one. Robert M. Osa doesn't dominate. He produces based on who's around him and the set they have in for him. He's a very good rotational player. Yes, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you. And the Cowboys could have paid him like that had they paid him a couple of years ago or maybe even last year. They messed around, waited this long, and now, based on, let me go back, who was this just said this? Sean M. Based on what the Eagles did, based on what Sean M. is saying, because the Cowboys waited, now they're going to have to pay him like he's a dominating defensive tackle because of what the Eagles have done with their defensive line. And let's not forget the Rams. The Rams crashed people too in the playoffs. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Aaron Wesley, or see what the price is for Dexter Lawrence. Yes, sir. I think the Cowboys need to be looking at all of their alternatives. All of their alternatives on this. Lewis said the option is to add to our defense. Jerry, don't pay anyone. I'm tired of scraps and leftovers. Add our youth. We have one of the youngest defenses in the NFL. I'm with you on that. I'm just not signing Osa Odighizuwa to no $20 and $25 million a year. Eberflus defense schemes revolves around a dominant three tech. Yep, it does. That's why I don't think Micah Parsons fits. I mean, it will blow the football world's mind. But the trading of Micah Parsons might not even be about the money. How does an undersized defensive end fit in a three-tech rush four defensive scheme? How does he fit in? I would think he'd be a liability. I really do think he would be a liability. That's a tough one. But let me talk a little bit more about the draft, and I'm going to get off here. Ice Cold, I'm with you too. But if you don't sign Osa Odighizuwa, then that means you're going to get that defensive tackle in the third round. Well, guess what? I guess you got Osa Odighizuwa in the third round too. Genty, then Savion Williams. Well, let me tell y'all something that's crazy that they're talking about. Ron, he said the Cowboys might trade back. I would if Genty isn't there. Sean M said he's like a bigger version of Debo. Now, let me tell y'all something that's going down the wire that's crazy. Y'all tell me what y'all think on this. Looking at the draft, I haven't got the whole 411 on it yet. I'm going to start looking at what they're talking about. I want to do a video on this. We may have a problem at number 12. Do y'all remember how CeeDee Lamb fell to the Cowboys? Cowboys were not supposed to get CeeDee Lamb. Y'all do know this, right? Cowboys were not supposed to get CeeDee Lamb. People were saying they were shocked when CeeDee Lamb fell to the Cowboys. Well, we may have a problem at number 12. Because now there is talk that McMillan will be on the board when the Cowboys get at 12. If T. McMillan is available at 12, there's no way I can pick Ashton Genty over McMillan. I can't do it. They're saying McMillan is going to be available. There's something going on in the upper part of the draft that they're saying there's going to be a lot of moving around. And I don't know for sure, but I'd already suspected. They're already saying that some kind of way Shedeur is going to, that the Raiders, they're saying the Raiders are going to make a run to get Shedeur Sanders. Because they're saying that the Tennessee Titans, this is what they're saying. I think this is a part of the shakeup. They're saying the Tennessee Titans are wanting to trade the first round pick. Because I'm telling y'all, there are going to be a couple of quarterbacks that are going to become available, I believe, in free agency that are going to shake up this draft. Sam Darnold. There are some teams that may believe maybe we could wait a year and just get Sam Darnold and get Arch Manning or one of the quarterbacks coming out next year. So they're saying Tennessee is willing to trade the first round draft pick to whoever wants it. Well, I can tell you who's going to want it. I guarantee you the Las Vegas Raiders, because all these other teams, I mean, I don't know just how bad they really want to get up into the first. I think the Giants could want Shedeur, and maybe they do. But if Tennessee trades that first round, if they trade it, I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to go for it hard. I think Tom Brady wants to get Shedeur. I could be totally wrong, but I believe Deion Sanders' road to the NFL comes through the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought all along that the Las Vegas Raiders were going to get Shedeur Sanders. It hasn't happened yet. I could be totally wrong. But if it comes to fruition that Tennessee wants to trade this first round draft pick, I think it's going to be none other than the Raiders who try to get to that first spot. Because I don't think it's going to be the Jags, or I don't think the Jags nor the Patriots. I don't even think the Cleveland Browns want Shedeur Sanders. So it would only be out of the New York Giants and the Raiders. And if Deion Sanders has any influence on it, he's going to push for Shedeur, I guarantee you, to go to the Raiders. The Giants, big market, but the Raiders, big market also, not as big probably as the New York Giants, but I think they would be able to put some things around him. And I think that they see that also as Pete Carroll, 2-year deal, 3rd-year option. He won't get the 3rd year. They'll let him do those 2. Deion Sanders comes in after 2, fulfills his thing in Colorado. He comes to the Raiders. And I would not be surprised if the Raiders not only get Shador, if they get that trade, I believe the Raiders will get Shiloh too. It is going to be very interesting what happens up in this part, because obviously whatever is going on, they're saying that this is going to cause McMillan to possibly be available when the Cowboys come down. And you know what? With the way the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, this defensive tackle thing may heat up. And that's one of the reasons why I believe Osa Odighizuwa is probably going to get overpaid by a team. No knock on Osa Odighizuwa. Osa Odighizuwa, get your money. But Osa Odighizuwa is probably going to get overpaid. McMillan may actually be there at 12 for the Cowboys. Man, I'm telling y'all tell me what you think. But I'm telling y'all, if McMillan is there, I don't care if Genty is there. I am picking McMillan over Genty. I'll take McMillan over Genty, and I'll get Omarion Hampton in a second. I just don't think the drop-off to Omarion Hampton is that big of a thing. I just don't. I do not. Sean M says, will the Giants be willing to trade back from 5? Ice Cold, Las Vegas Raiders equals Tom Brady. Hey, man, I'm telling you, Ice Cold Cowboy, I guarantee you, Tom Brady is salivating right now. If this Tennessee thing is true, he's salivating. They're going to, I guarantee you, they're going to make a serious run at Shedeur Sanders. They're going to try to get that first round pick. Troy Dudley, you don't think McMillan is Dak friendly? Man, he's 6'5". Straight down, man. Man, I figured he would be because of the catch radius. Tell me your thoughts on that. Let me get you some more. Robert M. Let's see here. 70s fan, he said the Eagles didn't take CD because they took Jalen Hurts. They're saying McMillan may wind up being there. Chanel, I don't want Osa. I will take a proven commodity in Philly, Milton Jawan Williams. Much better player than Osa and holds the edge, and he can get to the quarterback. Okay, I like that, Chanel. Ron, he said, good plan. Ice Cold, the Sheagles had to pick right after my Cowboys. They want to see dangerous. Man, let me tell you. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm doing it. Top Gunner said, G, salute to you, bro. Personally, I feel we might be in deep, deep trouble. And we have Jerry to thank for most of that. Hey, Top Gunner, I'm telling you, they got themselves in a pickle with Osa Odighizuwa. But I hope they don't force themselves to sign Osa Odighizuwa because everybody is saying this and that and this and that. Nah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Ice Cold. Hey, man, I'll tell you, Ice Cold. Man. Woo. There is just not much that can make me pass up on McMillan, man. This dude is, man. This dude would be crazy. I would love to see what Dak could do with him. Sean M. Genty only scared me is high carries in college. Boy, he had a lot. Yeah, he was. He was like Larry Johnson. Man, they gave him a lot of carries, man. Ron said, I want Genty, but the Cowboys would take McMillan. Man, I would take McMillan. Woo. Man, lead time. I think big receivers fit Dak. That's what I was thinking, too. I would go get McMillan. I would go get McMillan. That's what I was thinking. Dak need weapons and a run game. I would be happy with either. I would take McMillan because I can't get another McMillan. And the drop-off from McMillan, I think it's further than the drop-off from Genty. I don't think Hampton is that far of a drop-off from Genty. But I think the next receiver compared to McMillan, man, this dude McMillan is just, man, I got to take him. Man, I'd have to take him. Man, I'd get this dude and get me a running back in the second. Boy, I'd be ready to go. I would be ready to go. And then, just for kicks and giggles, I get me a defensive tackle in the third. I would. I get me a defensive tackle in the third. I think the Cowboys can afford. I think they can afford to let Osa Odighizuwa test the market. Go test it. If there's somebody willing to pay you $20+ million, Osa Odighizuwa, get your money. But if there's not nobody willing to pay you $20+ million, circle the block. Maybe we'll pay you higher than the person who's offering you the lowest amount if it's somewhere around 16 or 17. But no, I think the Cowboys, just like they got Osa Odighizuwa in the third. Now, from what my understanding is, I've heard people say this, that defensive tackles take about 2 years to really get into form. So that's why I would go get me a couple of veteran defensive tackles. I'd get me a couple of veteran defensive tackles, and I would go in the draft, and I would get the best one available on the board, and I would develop him and have him ready to go in year 2 and let him take one of those guys' spots. That's what I would do. I would. Hurts was drafted in the 2nd round. Ah, yeah. That's right. I think they were talking about that the other day. That's right. Michael Wright said we are in a cold war with Philly. Man, I'm going to tell you who I think we in a cold war with. I think we in a cold war with them doggone Washington Commanders. Because this dude, Dan Quinn, man, this dude is going to make, he going to be a problem for the Cowboys for at least 2 more seasons. Because he likes the players on the Dallas Cowboys. And Osa Odighizuwa, I'm telling you, I'm looking at this from the Cowboys. I don't want to pay Osa $20 million or more. But if I'm Osa Odighizuwa, unless the Cowboys are offering me, because see, once Pro Football Focus, y'all already know this, once Pro Football Focus steps into the chat, everybody changes their whole mindset. And if Pro Football Focus is saying that Osa Odighizuwa is somewhere rated around $24 million, him and his agent are both getting wind of this. And that's probably what they're expecting from anybody that's going to offer Osa Odighizuwa. Also, Osa Odighizuwa is in the catbird seat right now. He is. He's in the catbird seat. If I'm Osa Odighizuwa, unless the Cowboys are coming to me with 22, 23, 24 million, hey, man, you know what? I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to wait and see what I get when I go on the open market. He's in the catbird seat. He can literally see, and it's not many times that you get to see what your worth is in this league. So when you get that opportunity, unless you're on a team that is on the verge of winning the Super Bowl, you love that team and you love the area, you don't want to move, and any other excuse you want to make, well, you say, I'm going to stay with this team. You know, maybe it's my second contract. Don't need the big money. Don't want to move my family. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, and then you can stay there. But in the case of Osa Odighizuwa, I'm sorry. I mean, hey, man, get your money. Get your money. So it's both ways for me. Brendan said, trade Parsons for Garrett, swap first rounds, and go get McMillan. See, now if Cleveland, and we're going to see something too, because Cleveland right now is talking big noise. They've said they're not trading Myles Garrett. I don't believe that's what they're saying. I believe they're saying if you want Myles Garrett, because we don't have to trade him, you're going to have to come a little bit better than a straight across trade. That's one of the reasons why I don't think he's going to get traded like that. That's why I don't think he's going to get traded like that. Sean M. said, if you want to go a big body, can we fleece Atlanta and get Pitts for a 4th or a 5th? Oh, yeah, you talking about I keep hearing, if you're talking about the tight end Kyle Pitts, I think his name, I keep hearing that the Atlanta Falcons going to shake him. I do. Ice cold, man. I'm going to tell you, I wish they would let me get in on the GM stuff. I'm not going to say I build a championship team, but I would definitely be talking some sense to him. Man, I would. I mean, because I think we have to get out of this mode of thinking. Now, see, the quarterback, to me, the quarterback is the only position where your thinking is different. And the reason why I say that is that people do not understand. Winning quarterbacks do not fall off trees. As much as some of the fans hate Dak Prescott, Go ask other teams, would they love to have Dak Prescott? Ask them would they love to have a quarterback that when he's healthy, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins. I mean, they would love to have that kind of production in quarterback. And so when you're talking about quarterback, when you get one that's good to great, you don't let that quarterback go. No, you don't let those go, because the quarterbacks, unlike the other positions, they get better with time. And the reason why they get better with time is because I want you to imagine Tom Brady. Tom Brady gets to year 10, 11, and 12. What can you show him? What can you throw at him that he hasn't seen? Dak Prescott is getting to that point to where there's nothing he hasn't seen. So when you get to a quarterback where there's nothing he hasn't seen, well, the only thing you can throw at him is a pass rush. Because no matter how many times he's seen a pass rush, if he can't get away from it, he just can't get away from it. That's why you get a pass rush, because when you come to these cerebral quarterbacks, they can outsmart you with their eyes. You know, they can outsmart you with looking one way and then looking back. They can pump fake you one way and then throw to where they know they already wanted to go. I mean, they can do so many things because of their cerebral. So you know how you stop them? I don't care how smart you are, you can't get away from a pass rush. That's how you stop smart quarterbacks. You rush the passer. We've seen it happen over and over. We saw it happen to Brady. We saw it happen to Brady twice, and now we've seen it happen to Patrick Mahomes. And we've seen it to against other quarterbacks in the past. So that's what you do to beat those quarterbacks. But quarterbacks is the only place you think different. You can't run through quarterbacks contrary to what people think. Your goal is not to run through quarterbacks every 4 to 5 years. That's not what you want to do at quarterback. No, in actuality, at quarterback, you're literally looking at that as a 9 to 12 year position. If you got your guy, it's 9 to 12. If you look at the great quarterbacks, it's typically 9 to 12. If you're not the guy, then you probably last 4 to 7. You don't even get the second deal. Someone else gives you the second deal. You get the money, you fall off a cliff, no one ever hears from you again. A lot of these first round draft picks, they come in, they're bust, no one ever hears from them again. But when you get your guy, quarterback is the only position that is different like that. When it comes to quarterback, when I get my guy, well, he going to be 9 to 12. And that's kind of where the Cowboys are thinking with Dak Prescott, 9 to 12. This is what, about to be Dak Prescott's 10th season? They're thinking 9 to 12. I believe Dak will do 3 more years with the Cowboys, and then it'll be a serious consideration on whether or not they're going to cut him. But I'm sorry, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm cashing in on Dak's contract. I got to get a Super Bowl. I have to get a Super Bowl under this contract. I think Dak needs to concentrate on football this year. I'm glad you had your daughter. First year is hard on the mom. But he said, wake up, Dak, now and get back to work. I think he's going to get back to work. I think he wanted to get to work this year. But I think, unfortunately, for Dak, Louise, I don't think it was the daughter. I think Dak fell victim to the fact that they were not. Mike McCarthy ticked off the Cowboys by losing to Green Bay. And they decided they were going to blow the team up. They were going to keep Dak Prescott. They made that decision too, but they were going to blow the team up. And unfortunately, Dak Prescott had to weather the storm through the fact of not a rebuild, but a recalibration. You're not rebuilding when you already have the quarterback, the wide receiver, the cornerback. I mean, you got the defensive end if you want to sign him. That right there is not what you call a rebuild. We are recalibrating. Daniel Lynn, what's going on, man? Been missing you. He said, what's up, G? What is going on with this Osa talk? The Cowboys aren't going to let him walk all day. It would be a terrible decision. And I think they're getting Milton Williams. Them getting Milton Williams would be awful. Well, it's not so much they're getting rid of Osa Odighizuwa. The talk is, Daniel M., is that Osa Odighizuwa is going to be a $24 million a year player. and his contract is going to be somewhere around 85, 88 million. And I don't think he's worth it. And I'm pretty sure the Cowboys don't think he's worth that either. And this is nothing against Osa Odighizuwa, because I'm on the other side of this too, saying if somebody's going to pay you $80 million, $88 million, Osa Odighizuwa, go get your doggone money. If they're going to pay you $20 million a year, give you a $60 million dollars guaranteed, and the Cowboys won't do it, get your money. But I'm also saying on the other side, I just don't think the Cowboys should pay Osa Odighizuwa that kind of money. Because if you're going to pay Micah Parsons and Osa Odighizuwa, even when you flip the switch on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb's contract, not to mention, that's only going to solve one of the free agents of the 24 that are walking away. So then that means you'll have to take whatever money that is left. Because if you pay Micah Parsons and Osa Odighizuwa, now in order to get that $100 million, it requires a couple other things too. Terrence Steele, Zach Martin, both of the safeties, I believe. How do you replace those players? Because how much money then will you have left to really play in free agency the way that you want to, tying up that big money in both Osa and Micah Parsons? I think the Cowboys, unfortunately, I think they may have to just choose one of them. And if I'm going to choose one of them, it's going to be Micah Parsons. I'll keep Micah Parsons. Okay, what are we going to pay him? That's the next point. He's already said he'll take less money. So Micah Parsons, how low can we go with you? I'm not asking, but I'm asking. What are we talking about? Are we talking 27, 28? Can we go 28? And then we can bring you in a Josh Sweat. We'll bring you in a Hassan Reddick. And then we'll go in the draft. We got a couple of defensive tackles we can get in free agency. And then we'll go in the draft. We'll go in the draft and we'll get you the best defensive tackle left on the board. But I don't think you can sign both of them. I just think it would be detrimental to sign both of them. Michael Wright. I like McMillan, but got to get Myles Garrett. I want to see if these are all available. Because I tell you this, Michael Wright, boy, them some good problems to have. Those are some good problems to have. To have the problem of Myles Garrett for a first rounder, or Ashton Jeanty being there, or McMillan being there. Man, them some good problems. I hope they have them problems. I hope they have those problems. Because if Myles Garrett is there, boy, that's tough. Because, I guess it would depend on how you're looking at it. For me, Myles Garrett says win now. If I make a trade for Myles Garrett and I'm keeping Micah Parsons, it's win now. I got to win no later than 2026 or 27. I got to win in a 3-year span, because Myles Garrett isn't getting any younger either. I think he's 30 or will be 30. Myles Garrett, to me, says win now. McMillan and Jeanty say win now, and we're building a team for the future. Because if you get McMillan, he's here beyond Dak Prescott. I believe McMillan would probably be their ticket to get away from CeeDee Lamb after his contract is up. McMillan would be the future. Ashton Jeanty would probably be still a part of the win now phase, because they'd probably sign him to a 4-year deal. He would do 3 of those with Dak. He'd have 1 more year depending upon how he's performing in the running backs. You're probably going to recycle him unless he's still ultimately dominant. So Chanel said, gee, but let's really look at the Tet before you say yes. Is McMillan just a taller version of Michael Gallup? I want a receiver that can take the top off the ball. Dak never had a receiver that top off the ball, take the top off the ball. Now, McMillan, I noticed the only thing about McMillan, which somebody pointed out in the chat, and I thought it was very interesting, that we have a lot of 4-4 wide receivers, and they're still not cutting it. Now, the thing about McMillan is size, hands, and route running. You're not going to get home run hitting speed, even though 4.5 it's nothing to sneeze at. Now, this is the guy I want the Cowboys to get, Chanel. I want the Cowboys to get this guy right here because I never thought McMillan was going to be available. But I would like them to get Emeka Egbuka. Stu runs a 4.340. That's blazing speed. That is blazing speed. Says here, Egbuka's elite straight line speed demands respect from defensive backs, but it's his technical polish that will determine his NFL trajectory. The tape shows a receiver who wins. 4.3. That's a different type of speed. And anybody who's ever ran track, 4.3 flat, that's different than a 4.45. I mean, you may not, that's nothing. It's a tenth of a, okay. As a track runner, go to a track meet and watch guys who are only tenth of a second off of each other. It's a huge difference. This is the guy who I would want. Now, McMillan, I just think he's a physical freak. He's a one receiver to me. He can definitely be your, I mean, like I said, he would probably be CeeDee Lamb's ticket out of here after this deal right here. But if you can't get him, McMillan is, everybody keeps talking about Luther Burden III. I'm not impressed with Luther Burden III like that. I would rather have Egbuka. I mean, this dude is crazy. This dude is crazy. You got Matthew Golden from Texas. He's 4.3. I mean, if you're wanting the top off speed, Chanel, if you're wanting that type of speed, you're talking these 4.3 guys. I like Isaiah Bond at 4.2, but he's a little too short for my taste. If you're wanting 4.3, you're talking Jalen Royals. You're talking, and I don't even see Tez. I think a lot of people have been talking about Jack Beck. Jack Beck, unfortunately, is another 4.5 receiver, and he's going to be one of those big guys, hands and all of those things, but he's not going to be the take the top off the defense wide receiver. So for me, this has actually been the guy I've been talking about because I never thought McMillan was going to be there, but now they're saying McMillan may be there. Boy, I just say this. I would love to have all these problems. I hope they make the right decision, but if I'm the Cowboys, I want all these problems. These are great problems to have because the reason why I say it's great problems to have because there will be great options to have. They will be great options to have. So, yeah, I'm with you. If you want somebody that can take the top off the defense, it's got to be Egbuka. The Eagles passed on CeeDee Lamb for what player? I have to look that up. Let's see here. Robert M. G on Osa. Hold on, let me check something here. Let me see. Okay, that was a 2020 draft. Let's see. '20 draft. Okay, so we had Joe Shiesty that went first. Let me see where the Eagles picked. In 2020, it looks like the Eagles were after the Cowboys. Let's look at this draft. Boy, man, let me tell you something. Man, if they could do this draft all over again, boy, CD Lamb would have never made it to the CD Lamb would have never made it to the Dallas Cowboys if they could do this draft all over again. I mean, look at these players that went before CD Lamb. I mean, Joe Burrow, of course. Joe Burrow was a great pick. Chase Young has not turned out. I hope the Cowboys, though, I want them to go. I would love for the Cowboys to get Chase Young at defensive end. I'm not sure on these other players, but Tua Tagovailoa, I think they needed a quarterback at the time. The Chargers needed a quarterback, Herbert. But boy, I bet you, how much you bet the Miami Dolphins take Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa? How much you bet? I'm willing to bet you they take Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa. Looking back at this is funny. How much you bet the Raiders pick CeeDee Lamb over Henry Ruggs III? Even though Henry Ruggs III might have been doing pretty good before he got in trouble. Jerry Jeudy. How much you bet the Broncos get CeeDee Lamb over Jerry Jeudy? Cowboys wound up getting CeeDee Lamb at number 17. And then the Eagles wound up getting Jalen Reagor, or I think it's Reagor. I know who Jalen is, but I'm not even sure is he still with the Eagles? I don't think he turned out. But CeeDee Lamb went number 17. The Eagles were actually after. They were actually after the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm sure they probably would have picked CeeDee Lamb. I'm sure they would have got CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, Timothy Daniels, we do not have a 4th round pick. Haven't had one in 2 years thanks to the Joneses. Hey, what's going on, Damon? Appreciate you. Yeah, you know what? Might better circle the block on Kyle Pitts, 70s fan. I'm hearing that Kyle Pitts may be available. Yep, I'm hearing he may be available. Luis Ortiz, easy fix. All you need to do is get Dak another wide receiver. Get him a running game. You'll never have to worry about it again. Yep, when he's healthy is the key. Yeah, they got to fix that O-line, which I think the O-line is there. I think the O-line is there. They just got to get the order of it. John Fulton playing games within the game. Could the Commanders just be driving up the price on Osa? You better believe it. Yeah, you better believe it. you better believe it. Dan Quinn, I am not going to be shocked if Dan Quinn runs that price up on Osa. So the Cowboys can't have him. But knowing Dan Quinn, he wants Osa too. I think he wants Osa. I do. He likes a lot of these Cowboy players. He'd love to have them. Yeah, Ron, Philly is a monster defensively. They are. Daniel Lim, he says, I'm seeing a lot of trades for the 12th pick that keeps us in the first round but gained a 4th. Daniel Lim, I got a strange feeling the Cowboys are getting back in the 4th round. I heard Jerry Jones. I can't remember the interview, but during the season, Jerry Jones was on the phone, and Jerry Jones wanted us to hear this. Whatever he was talking about, he said that'll get 2 4th rounders or something to that effect. Jerry got back in the 4th last year. Jerry's getting back in the 4th this year. I think he's going to use some of those 10 picks and get back in the 4th. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Ice Cold Cowboy. Y'all hit that like button. Man, if Jerry finally add great free agents, I'm gonna cry with joy. Hey, he's got an opportunity. Jerry has an opportunity. But I'll tell you this. Before they go into free agency, they need to know exactly where they are on the cap. I'm wondering what they're cooking up. And they got their coaches now. So what are they cooking up? They got to flip the switches on Dak Prescott contract. and CeeDee Lamb's contract. The other thing they have to decide is, are they going to keep Terrence Steele? Terrence Steele, man, he fell off the boat after that contract. They can get from up under Terrence Steele contract. They're going to eat some money, but they'll gain some money too. Do they want to keep the safeties? All of this has got to be decided. Even Osa Odighizuwa, even Micah Parsons, they need to decide all of this, and they don't have to rush on it, but they do need to have it in order before March 10th. Not after, but before March 10th. Because March 10th, it's not only legal tampering day. All the contracts are done March 10th and 11th. I mean, for the really good players, those contracts are done. March the 12th, all they do is sign. A lot of the good players will be gone by the first day of free agency. I mean, the elite difference-making players, they will be gone first day because those deals get done before the first day. I want the Cowboys to play before the first day. I want them to be in all of the discussions starting March 10th and have some things in place. So March 12th, we're excited because the Cowboys have signed some, not just a big name, but somebody who's really going to help us. Damon Davis, boy, they had me laughing. They were talking about Dak Prescott going to the Saints. I said, what? Man, they talk about this. They talk about this dude going to the Saints. Dang Lim said if we get Milton Williams, he's going to want the bag after winning a Super Bowl, even if he's from the Texas area. Money talks. Well, I can tell you this. After you win a Super Bowl, Daniel Lim, whoever you want to let go, you can go let them go. You go, let them go and just replace them in the draft. Because for me, I talked about this and now I heard a commentator talking about it the other day. The Cowboys need to get accustomed to, get on a cycle of winning, peaking, recalibrating, building, winning, peaking, recalibrating. That's what Philly is doing. Philly keeps going boom, 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 boom. And in every one of those phases, have we not noticed what they've done? Won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. We got to get in that phase. Jerry they want to build a dynasty. You don't build them the same no more. You don't build the dynasties. You can build a dynasty. You just don't build them the same no more. You don't build a team that wins 12, 13, 14, 15 straight years. You build a team that wins, peaks, Super Bowl, wins, peaks, Super Bowl, wins, peaks, Super Bowl. You're going to have to go a little on the graft. You can't just keep going up and up. Ask the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't. And eventually, guess what? The Chiefs are going to start to suffer because you're never drafting in the top part of the draft. You're never drafting in the top part of the draft. And the Chiefs are suffering. They're also suffering because they played in free agency, but they signed big time. They've signed a couple of big time. They signed Chris Long, for example, and they kept Kelsey. And people need to stop thinking just because Patrick Mahomes isn't making $60 million a year. Can we not understand the man is on a 10-year deal, $500 million? That's still steady money off the cap. We got to stop acting like he's making $10 million a year. So you keep having to get players, but you're missing on one of the most vital parts of winning, playing in the high parts of the draft. That's how they got Patrick Mahomes. But that team that they built when they got Patrick Mahomes, remember, Travis Kelce was there, if I'm not mistaken. That team, Alex Smith, they were already building. Well, now the Chiefs are about to fall off their cycle. The question is, how do they get back on it? Because the teams in the AFC are only getting better. And now the Eagles have given the blueprint on how to be. I mean, I don't understand why anybody. All you had to do was look back at the Super Bowls that Tom Brady has lost. The Giants beat Tom Brady and the Patriots with their front four. When Brady lost those Super Bowls, Michael Strahan and that front four were hellacious. Tom Brady had no answer for them. It's hard to have an answer for a pass rush if you guys can't block them. And if you're not Michael Vick, you got problems. So now the Kansas City Chiefs, they've missed the three-peat. They're keeping Travis Kelce past his prime. They should just cut Kelce. But out of respect, they're letting Kelce, they told him that we need to know if you're going to retire within somewhere around March 14th. Yeah, right before that bonus kick in. Yeah. And now it's being said that Travis Kelce is going to play an extra year. So now the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to continue to watch them, not necessarily decline, but they're not going back to the Super Bowl next year either. They're not going back. Not next year. The Baltimore Ravens or the Bills are going to continue to build their team. The Baltimore Ravens are going to do something else to try to get Lamar Jackson over the hump. And I believe the Bills are going to do the same thing. And so I'm saying all that to say the Cowboys, they have to see things differently. A dynasty is built differently today. You got to be willing to build up, win, build up, win, build up, win. You have to be willing to say we're going to go to the Super Bowl every 3 seasons. Every 2 to 3 seasons. We'll go one, skip a year or two, go again, skip a year or two, go again. You got to get used to that cycle. Because if you don't get used to that cycle, you're never going to win. You're never going to win. And that's what's happened. They just haven't been playing the game right. They just haven't been playing the game right. They got to learn how to play the game. They do. And one of the things they're going to have to do is they got to get this run game back on track. And they got to get this defensive line done. And I'm telling us, I'm just really wondering this thing about Micah Parsons. Again, I am very interested to know how in the world is he going to fit in Matt Eberflus's defense. I really want to know. I'm just not sure if he fits into that. Troy says Emeka and CD would be a good match. Man, I would love. That was the dude that I wanted to have all along. Ibuka is on the list. 4-3 is a beast. Yeah. Yep. He could definitely be what the Cowboys are wanting. And they could probably trade back and get him. They could trade back and get him. Man, but I do think the Cowboys are going to play in free agency. The question is how. And I think the thing with Osa Odighizuwa is going to tell us everything we need to know. Yep, it's going to tell us everything we need to know. Yeah, we're not trading back, taking best player available. I don't think they're going to trade back either because I think the Cowboys have their eyes on somebody, and I think who they have their eyes on is Ashton Jeanty. But if Ashton Jeanty is not there, they may trade back. But here's the other crazy part. Man, this draft is going to be so exciting because I got a strange feeling. That this draft that Tankatron has up here, I don't think it's happening like this. I don't. I do not think the draft is happening like this. I think there's going to be some shakeups, and I think there are probably going to be some players available that the Cowboys nor a couple of the teams in front of them even thought were going to be available. So we'll see what happens. Cowboys got some big decisions to make. I'm just telling us. The Cowboys have some huge decisions to make, guys. They do. Jackie Smith, what's going on? Can we get Gilly back in the place of Diggs till he get yes. You know what? I did a top 10 draft. I'm sorry. I did my top 10. Matter of fact, I'll deal with that tomorrow. Man, I did my top 10 free agents. Stephon Gilmore, Jackie Smith. I got Stephon Gilmore in my top 10. I want the Cowboys to get Stephon Gilmore back. I'm going to do a video tonight. Y'all will see it here in the morning. But I think we need to start, the Cowboys need to start preparing themselves for Trayvon Diggs not to be on this team in the next couple of years. I'm telling y'all, Trayvon Diggs is having some serious problems. He's having some serious problems. He is. When you start talking about that bone on bone, that cartilage stuff, that's scary talk. That's scary talk for a cornerback because you think about it as a cornerback. Knees bent, back pedaling, cuts, left, right. I mean, there are so many things you have to be able to do as a cornerback. I hate that for Trayvon Diggs. But the Cowboys need to be planning for if he doesn't come back. But if he does come back, then you got a good cornerback room. But Jackie Smith, they need to be prepared in case he doesn't come back. Jackie Smith, we traded spot with the Eagles that year. Okay. Miami definitely taking sherbet ice cream laid out. Man, ice cold. When they first did that, I couldn't believe they did. Tua, go back and look at this at Tua's history. I've never seen a stat like this. Tua Tagovailoa. There has never been a year, other than 1 year in the pros, high school, college, and the pros, Tua Tagovailoa had been injured every single season. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. I'd have never drafted him. Damon, me too. Abdul Carter, man, I'd love to pair him up. Even though if you ask Warren Sapp, he not sold on him. Troy Dudley, Cowboys have possession. Wide receivers and tight ends need a route runner with speed to pair with CD. I agree with you. I agree with you on that too. I'm telling you, I like Ferguson, but if Atlanta shake Kyle Pitts, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm getting Kyle Pitts. I am. My man Johnny Blue, what's going on? I think Moore is going to get Genty. Man, Kellen Moore is going to be a pain in the Cowboys side. I believe he is. I believe that Joker is going to be a pain in the Cowboys side, just like Dan Quinn. I do. I don't think he's happy. I don't think he's happy with Jerry and them, so I think he'll do anything he can do to make life hell for Jerry. Mike McCain, what's going on? He said Trayvon Diggs is not going to be the same. Nope. If you want him to go away, it would be not a good idea to go after his brother either, because it would just man, please, Dallas Cowboys, do not try to get Stephon Diggs. I do not want the Cowboys to get Stephon Diggs. He's coming off an injury. And Nisi says that Joneses love getting injured players. I don't want them to get Stephon Diggs. And you're 100% right, Mike McCain. I would not want Stephon Diggs on this team, knowing what I think the Cowboys may be about to go through with Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs may be a casualty of injury. And he may keep on trying, and the Cowboys may say no. David Everett, there are 7 running backs in this draft, and yes, the Cowboys are going to be able to get one of them for sure. The first 6 picks going to be interesting. Hey, Jackie, I'm telling you, all I need is the first 3. Cowboys go running back and wide receiver in the first 2. I'll be in. I'm telling you, I'll be floating after that. Gilmore wants 8 to 10 million. Might not want that this year though. Don't want to sit the bench. He can be replaced by someone cheaper and younger. He won't get that this year. He's another year older. I don't think he'll want 8 to 10. He might play for the Cowboys because he was already saying he would have played for the Cowboys for a discount. He'll probably play for the Cowboys, I believe, for 5 to 7. He won't be on the bench. I don't believe Trayvon Diggs is going to be ready. If Trayvon Diggs is ready to rushing him back, Trayvon Diggs is messed up. But I'll tell you this, on my top 10, Louise, I actually have Asante Samuel Jr. I would love for the Cowboys to pick up Asante Samuel Jr. It looks like he's going to be a free agent. Freddie Morales, no other team will ever take the America's team moniker from Dallas. I agree with you. No other team affects the TV ratings, the revenue, and the fans. I'm going to add the fans. Nope, I agree with you. I agree with you, man. It's going to be exciting. March the 10th. March the 10th and 11th is going to tell us everything we need to know. If you don't hear the Cowboys talking about signing players, we're going to be on day. I mean, you won't be able to get the impact players. You'll probably be able to get more of the role players. Man, lead time. I'm more confident in Overshown because they said he didn't have any structural or ligament damage. Or I think it was nerve damage they was talking about. So they said he's going to be great. But I'm concerned about Trayvon Diggs. Because when you're talking about that bone on bone, well, that means he has no more cushion left between the bones. That, oof. Hate that for Trayvon Diggs. Dangle M, I would hope that the Cowboys make moves, but I would not be surprised if they don't make any because history has shown they never make. Man, let me tell you. He said they never make the moves necessary to fix the roster. Well, I can tell you this. As Cole said, no Stephanie Diggs, please. Yeah, I don't want to see him over the Cowboys either. He said Stephanie Diggs. Anthony Jefferson said no Stephon Diggs. I don't want to see it either. I don't want to see it either, man. Hey, 70s fan, I'm hearing that Kyle Pitts is going to be out of Atlanta. I hope the Cowboys be on the list. Yep, only the Joneses play injured cheap 1-year deals. Yep. Daniel M, he said, I think we should trade back in the first round and gain multiple top 100 picks and gain a fourth in the process. The mock drafts don't lie. I'll tell you this. I just don't think the Cowboys can lose. There are plenty of running backs. There are plenty of wide receivers. A lot of people keep betting on Genty. I say if Genty isn't there, you can still get a great running back. Marion Hampton. Wide receivers, get a Buka. There's so many options. Anthony Parker, if Amari Cooper would come back, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Not only would I take him in a heartbeat, I would take him and still get me a wide receiver in the draft. Yep, I would. Oh, you want to see the first pick 6? Okay. Yeah, I thought the same thing, 70s fan. I thought that Overshown was shaping up to be the leader. I do. Timothy Daniels, great show. My brother enjoyed. I appreciate it. We're going to be back to the bar with some more. Tomorrow, you'll be able to catch me. I'll be on Attack on the Cowboys. I hope you don't mind me saying it, but I'll be on Attack on the Cowboys tomorrow at 4:30. Yeah, we're going to have a good time over there. And then I'll be back here at 6:30. So get ready for that. So y'all will see me plenty tomorrow. Jackie, the fan base will ride if they are not players in free agency. You better believe it. I'm with you, Jackie. You right. They might go straight to the Star and to AT&T Stadium. They may have to call the police. I'm with you, Jackie. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 4:30 on Attack on the Cowboys, and then I'll see you back here tomorrow at 6:30. Or if my throat is messed. If I'm tired, it'll be 7. But you'll see me twice tomorrow if the Lord is willing. Yeah, I'll be on LC. Yeah, I am Robert. Yep. You'll see me on there. So we're gonna have some fun on there. Yeah, I agree with you. McMillan could be the next one. Yeah, I hope we have a good draft. I think the draft is going to be good. I'm actually not worried about the draft. I'm worried about free agency. The draft, I think, will be fine. I'm worried about the free agency. That's what I'm worried about. Sheldon, I'm in the Central Time Zone. Yeah, I'm in the DFW area. We're in that Central Time Zone. Tim, he said, I love it. He said, I will listen to love. He said, I will love it. I will listen to love to you. I will listen to you both. Yes, sir. I'll be over there. We're going to have a good old time. Peace. Appreciate you, True Cowboy. Talking Cowboys, what do you think Jerry going to do in free agency? Yeah, I think we're going to do good. Byron Joe David. I always have to make sure I get that right. Appreciate that $4.99 super chat. He said, I would prefer to get a number 2 wide receiver in free agency. The last time we drafted a wide receiver, it didn't turn out well. Well, I'll tell you this. I thought we drafted, maybe CeeDee Lamb is the only one I remember. Jonathan Tolbert, he was a 3rd rounder. I never thought Tolbert was going to. I was hoping Tolbert was going to turn around. I thought he was going to be one of the most important receivers. I thought he had the potential. I really didn't know a lot about him when they got him in the 3rd, but people were saying, man, he 4'4", he this and that. I think he's a 3rd. I think he's a number 3. If we draft a wide receiver, we got to draft at the top to get a true number 2. But all right, guys. Yeah, it's going to be crazy tomorrow for sure. Mid AOC. Yeah, we're going to have some fun. Appreciate you for subscribing, Damon. Oh, you said I'm subscribed to AOC? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll be in there tomorrow, 4:30 Central Time. So look forward to seeing all of y'all over there, and then I'll be back over here at 6:30. All right, again, let's talk Cowboys. I appreciate you. We talk facts. Peace.